We'll call the Ways and Means meeting to order. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis, Alderman Vaccaro,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Present.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Here.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, Chairman Vollmer.
Present.
6 present, you have quorum.
Thank you very much, Sharita. I don't see any minutes to approve before us,
It is.
or maybe I've got so much wonderful paperwork in front of me, I can't see them.
I see the agenda, but
Here are the minutes, here are minutes.
Okay.
I see
So,
agendas.
We'll move to approve the meetings for the meeting of May 29th and May 30th.
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay,
Second.
all right, thank you very much.
Oh, I didn't get that.
We'll wait for the excuse of Alderman until the end of the meeting. And we will go back to Board Bill number 1, where we left off. We had amendments turned into us. If anyone has any further ones they want to turn in today, we can do that. But we had, I believe, 5 turned into us, and one of the 5 was not possible for us to do in relation to the one position. But what we had recommended by Alderman Vaccaro and Alderman Muhammad was Amendment 1, proposed of the Office of Special Events, of eliminating the office. Before you, I was sent there's information as to what the Office of Special Events actually does. There's a lengthy little thing, if you folks aren't aware of it, I think we have them all in front of you.
I do now, yeah.
Yeah. Where we're at, thank you, is, I believe the budget for that office is $212,000, is that correct? Okay. And I believe Ms. Chance is retiring July 1st. She's been in the office for quite some time. And looking at it, the office is something, well, everything is going on outside today is one of the things this office does. I don't know if, when you have all these out-of-town things come in and to coordinate and do these things, I believe there'll be a reduction in salary if the office is kept with a new director. I believe it could be done with a smaller salary, but reading over and talking to not just the office, but other people who deal with it over the weekend, I tried to look into it, and it's a pretty necessary position. We might think it isn't, but it could be funded probably for $25,000 to $30,000 less a year also. And I don't know how that sits with you, but I'll let you proceed, Alderman Vaccaro.
Well, I'll tell you what, I can change mine to reduce, to take from that budget. If you're saying it can be done 30,000 less, let's take 30,000 out of the budget. I'm just trying to find
No,
money.
so am I.
So you can do it down there, but change my amendment
So,
to let's take 40,000 out of it.
well, you can ask for 40 and we'll see what we get back.
Okay. Well, I mean, if we take that out of the budget, it stays out,
Yeah.
then it stays out of the budget. Now, if anybody feels otherwise, like we should just eliminate it,
Well,
then I would say let's put it back in that way too.
we'll put it around the room and we'll start with Alderman Howard. If you have any questions of the sponsor of the amendment, Mr. Vaccaro, are you okay with a $40,000 reduction? Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Hubbard.
I know it's a very necessary position, definitely with all the events and stuff we have taking place in the city, but I didn't offer that amendment, but I had some conversations with a few other people regarding it, and it was brought up that I don't know if we're gonna cut it or if we are thinking about what can be done with the excess money. There was a conversation about it possibly going up under excise, which would give them additional support staff, which they need, and then that probably can go hand in hand and do some of those duties. That's just a thought.
You're talking about moving the office to excise and out of BPS, but keeping the office. Okay.
And then you could probably get 2 or 3 staff people for that amount of money that they're they handle, cause right now it's just 2 people and it's like $200 and some thousand.
Yeah, and I think it'd be, actually, we're talking about actually, you know, reducing it down to like a budget of 170.
That was just a thought.
Okay, well. We're just, Alderman Davis, Alderman Crawford, we're discussing as amendment number 1, the Office of Special Events.
Right. We got something in front of us.
There's a list of everything that the office actually does. It's been proposed, as opposed to eliminating the office, that cutting their budget by $40,000. Ms. Chance is retiring July 1st. They'll be not requiring her high salary apparently when training someone else to do the job, but keeping the office with the person. Alderman Hubbard has proposed maybe rolling that office into the Excise Commission out of Board of Public Service. I don't know how that would work, but
I'll share a couple of things with my thought on this.
certainly.
Because the excise division is an integral part of the process with special events anyway, I would suggest that we take that budget and put it in excise. Excise then can take the opportunity to have additional assistance that's needed there anyway. All of our one-day picnic comes out of excise. Excise gets involved. If you're having an event, you need a liquor license. They work with the street department anyway with all these various events. So to me, just take that whole budget and put it in excise.
Okay.
Well, my amendment is to take 40,000 out of that.
He's proposing to leave it where it's at and take $40,000 off the budget.
Oh, I was just giving my opinion.
No,
I'm
it
not
don't
trying to-
matter where we
yeah.
put it.
Yeah.
I'm just, you weren't in here, so.
I understand.
My amendment's only to take 40,000, so we can start to build toward putting money back other places. And even if you move it to excise, moving 190,000 is still a pretty good chunk of change to send over. And Ian Chance is retiring, so like, Alderman Baumer said, you know, we can reduce that salary, so taking 40,000 out shouldn't really hurt them too much.
Oh, you were taking 40,000 out to go somewhere else?
Just,
Yeah,
well, to put
yeah.
into, so we build up.
We're trying to
and
build a
then
pot
we'll
up.
do the
So
putbacks later.
we're talking about leaving the Office of Special Events intact.
Well,
cutting
even
the
if you
budget.
take the 40,000 out and send the rest to excise, I think the 2 positions he was talking about could be filled, and even that other person that's in special
Well, no,
events could still be there.
I agree,
Yeah,
I agree with that.
Okay.
I was just saying that rather than take it out altogether, after
Right.
reading all this,
right.
and with Ann Chance leaving, and a new person coming in, or even going to excise, it's not gonna hurt him to take 40,000, and 40,000 could be,
Sure.
it's the 40s and the 30s and the 20s that'll add up.
Yeah, because you
Just
still
to
need
take
the
care of
money
what
for
we need.
communications too. Okay, I'm good.
That's,
Okay. All right, Alderman Murphy, any thoughts on this?
I guess, maybe, what, Alderman Hubbard said, perhaps, like I said, you know, putting it in another office. I would imagine, it would be nice to have a person that can coordinate all these things. You know, when you look at all this, I would imagine most of this, I know, because I've dealt with the special events office, it requires closing of streets, so they have to, coordinate with streets. Parks, if something's in the park, they coordinate with the park schedule about if it's okay if they're there and things like that. And I don't know what, if any, business they have with excise, but I do know that, you know, most things involve selling, you know, some kind of alcohol and even food, you know. So that I guess they would help the person, tell the person who to call to get the food. And so, yeah, I think combining it with another, you know, with excise or something might be a good idea.
I
You
think-
know, have we talked to the excise commission?
We haven't, but that, I mean, this is it's just one under Board of Public Service for that reason. They just shifted this year for the first time.
Right.
To BPS, so I don't know,
Because it needed oversight.
and
Uh-huh.
I don't know if maybe he's cutting the budget this time around and let BPS have a year or so with it and see what happens with it, might be,
They didn't want it.
well,
They didn't want it.
Who didn't want
BPS.
They didn't really want
They
it.
didn't want
it.
But the office needed some oversight.
but
So-
Ann, the only thing that really in front of us is the 40,000. If we're gonna put it in excise, what we have to do is another amendment to take 100% of the money out of
Of there and put
there
it,
and then put 100% of the money into wherever you want it to go. So the amendment right now is just, all I'm asking is that 40,000, and if we wanna get it to excise, the way we would do it is we just need another cut of
Take
the
the
whole
balance.
budget and a putback into, which can easily be turned down across the hall.
Mhm.
okay, well,
But I am in favor of having someone perhaps coordinate all that for someone that's having an event. I know I've done it, and it's nice
Yeah.
when I can tell somebody just to call special events.
well, it's, well, and what's occurring out here, you have NBC Sports and NHL coming into town, and you're gonna chase them all around every office, you need
Right,
someone, you
right.
need due to the amount of national events and sometimes international events we have, you know, especially, we need to keep, I
We
believe
need
the
to
central
keep
office,
something
yes.
there, and not even for giant things, just for things that happen in our parks on a
Sure.
regular basis and things.
Okay.
But, or maybe even the mayor's office, I don't know, wherever we think.
Okay.
But I do think it'd be nice to have a body, even if it's just one body.
Sure.
To coordinate that.
Okay, thank you very much. Alderman Oldenburg, any thoughts?
No, not with what else has been said, I'm
Okay,
fine, thanks.
all right. Alderman Boyd, any thoughts on this,
I'm,
please?
I'm kinda in agreement, I guess my frustration is when people, to me, I'm look at that as the one-stop shop. And so you have to keep going all these different departments, I think that's a frustration,
Sure,
so me thinking, if it goes under excise, then it's somebody that's overseeing it to make sure it's not jumping all around. When people make requests, that's the frustration I have, when they give requests and then they have to go to different departments.
Okay.
So I'm in agreement with the cutting the 40,000 for the
All right.
road.
Okay. Alderman Clark Hubbard?
I agree with that.
All right. Okay, it's, maybe, it would seem like the cutting the $40,000 we all agreed to, it's under the auspices of BPS right now.
Right.
I think we might agree that to give them a year ride with it, and as their oversight committee, I don't know how you feel about that, but this would be an easier amendment to do, and get that $40,000 into a pot that we can use. But we can, it's up to you, this is your amendment,
I
sir.
would ask that we take a vote on it.
Okay.
I mean, that's, and then see if they're gonna pass or fail.
Okay, amendment number 1 as proposed is merely cutting the special events office budget by $40,000 at this time. Sharita, please take a roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Yes.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
And then they-
Yes, aye, yes.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Ballmer.
Aye.
8 aye votes.
All right, hearing that, we've passed out amendment 1 with a due pass recommendation to cut the special events office by $40,000.
So that gives us 40,000. Take it somewhere
Okay, get your pencils out.
else. That's-
Somebody,
Well, that is-
dear, he's writing everything down.
So we're gonna-
All right, amendment number 2, proposed by Alderman Vaccaro and Alderman Muhammad, is in regard to the building commissioners. And we're talking about reducing the building demo fund by $300,000 to add door-to-door inspections back into the mix of their duties. Alderman Vaccaro?
Okay, so, we're wording it wrong. I mean, me and John worded that wrong. Because we would have to put where it's gonna go on another sheet, but right now, we're looking for $300,000 to be cut from the demo fund. Our intention on it to put back is gonna be for the inspector.
Okay.
But for now, we're asking for, because we had to keep $300 million in, and we got $380 million.
There's $3.8 million in the building division budget. The requirement by law is $3 million that we have. There's actually another pool that raises up to $4.5 million. So at this point, taking the $300,000, this amendment basically is reducing the demo budget by $300,000.
$300,000.
Okay,
Which again, there's still gonna be over $7 million in demo.
That's
money
correct.
there.
all right.
And I don't think it affects anything
Okay.
within our.
We'll open the discussion then. Are you open to
No.
questions or discussion
No, I'm
from the
open for
panel?
questions,
All right.
sure.
Alderman Davis?
I can't see cutting demolition under any circumstances. We have it looks like worse than any third world country you watch on TV. We have got to, if anything, I want to find another $1 million to put in it.
And I understand that. I'm just trying to find money for, there's no way there, I mean, it's still over double what we've done in the past. And there's still gonna be over $700 million in demo, which is not all gonna get done this year. They're not gonna get some, you know, and that money could be used. But it's just an opinion. I mean, I'm not asking for, I just put that out there.
All right. Anything further, Alderman Davis?
No, sir.
All right, thank you, Madam Vice. Alderwoman Hubbard?
I guess I'm concerned about, where we are with demos, and if, I know the need is probably great for us to, use that money, but if in fact we are using, or if it's something in our process that's keeping us from using it as much as we should, then, that's a question that I have. But if, we're looking to try to find 300,000, and this amendment is just to take that out, then I can see supporting it, but I do not support putting it with the building division and
Right.
having those extra inspectors, because I think the process regarding it can disproportionately impact people in North St.
Well,
Louis if it's
and-
not structured properly.
And I agree, and that's why I said we worded it wrong. It's just a takeout. That money actually, so far we got 40,000 to the plus side. If we had, we'll have 340,000 to the plus side. Then the question is, can, and I know demolition is very important, but are there other things that we might really need to prioritize? And given the amount of money that's going into demolition, I mean, it's a large amount, more than we've ever done. That 300,000, just, and I'm fine either way. I bet, seems to me like that 300,000 isn't gonna be that missed and won't be used, because there's no way they're gonna get over 7 million done. And if we can put that 300,000 into, of course, my heart's with the fire stuff, and other people with the computers over, and we all have what we feel we want to get. And listening to everybody, it seems like we're gonna have to come up with $1 million or better from somewhere. So this is just a thought, and it doesn't hurt my feelings either way.
I can guarantee you, no one here is worried about your feelings, sir.
Yeah, don't take it personally.
So my next question, where's the love?
Yeah.
Okay,
As you
so,
close that door, it's out there.
so if we're just, I know that's right. If we're just adding to the pot, I can support the 300,000 coming out, so that's 340,000 that we try
Well, if
to
it-
stack
if
up.
If it passes.
If it passes,
Okay.
okay.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman Hubbard. Alderwoman Murphy, any thoughts on the process here?
Yeah, I think it'd be all right. Like I said, we don't use all the money anyway. And often, and it's only for a year, we might as well try it. I'm in favor of the door-to-door inspection, so we don't get to the point that things have to be demolished. Every citizen should be responsible for keeping their house up. And I think if you get it when it's a smaller, take, it's easier to fix than if you let it, get really
Sure.
bad. And I think a lot of the reasons there's money left over in the demo dolls, it's not because we don't have the money, it's because they're held up legally.
Sure.
The things are held up legally because of the ownership, because of the LRA, because of that. It's not because the money's not there. I have houses I can't get torn down just because of the legality of
tape.
everything. So, so
Okay.
I think I'm okay.
All right, thank you. Alderman Oldenburg, any thoughts?
I'm also, I think I would agree with Alderwoman Murphy here, and echo those sentiments if there were a vote on this.
All right. Alderwoman Boyd?
I'm struggling with the door-to-door because, in the North Quarter, we have a lot of seniors. And so, it's like a catch-22. In one hand, you have the slum landlords that's not doing anything that needs to be enforced, or the absentee landlords. But in a ward that has over 75% seniors, and people keep saying they can go to Healthy Home, it's waiting lists, so these seniors can't get the help that they need. So that's the struggle I have. I just don't think that $300 will make or break the building division demolition piece. But I'm just nervous about my seniors. That's my big thing.
It could be a point of tailoring the program to maybe even go after more so the vacant properties than other, in certain wards, granting extensions to people in need, that, you know, there's a healthier home repair list, cause I've been through before where, you know, it's just, they call up and people call me 6 months later, say, I'm still on the list, I'm still on the list.
Right, and that's my fear.
But, you know, we have the power to request extensions, you know, from the inspectors to help people out in situations like that also. I think if we maybe tailor the program to that, and wards with a specific problem of more vacant properties than that we maybe target those first actually, as far as and leave the inhabited properties alone. But I think that's something that can be worked out.
Yeah, and that's just my concern, you know, I don't have a problem with the
The
door to
300,
door, it's
okay.
just, I don't
Alright.
wanna get.
But this money doesn't go to the door to door.
Well, not yet.
No.
It would have to take
Right.
a whole nother amendment.
Right now, this
Right now,
amendment is merely,
He
we're
just wants to
taking
take it out.
$300,000 out of
Sit it
the
aside.
demolition.
I
So
think
we
that's
cool.
Yeah.
It
We
isn't
fine.
going anywhere.
Okay,
We
all right,
okay,
okay.
yeah.
I agree with taking it out, but I
Okay.
also have the same
All right.
concern, so.
okay. Sharita, please call a roll on amendment number 2 to reduce the building demolition budget by $300,000.
Alderwoman Davis,
Let me pass for a second.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes, aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Varner,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis.
Aye.
That's 8 aye votes.
Okay, so amendment number 2 passes out with a do pass, going to reduce the building demolition budget by $300,000, which people keeping score is $340,000 on the side.
Could I ask a question?
Yes, you may.
I'm still feeling like the new kid. If they don't use the money, it rolls over, right?
You're talking the demolition
In the
budget, yes,
uh-huh.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's-
it's earmarked for that and that only. Yeah,
Okay,
they can't go out and throw a Christmas party or anything.
that's a good thing, okay, thank you.
Not listening.
Right,
Let's not turn any buildings down, we're gonna go out and have a party. No,
Okay.
that's not gonna happen. Okay. Proposed amendment number 3 from Alderman Vaccaro is in regard to the recorder of deeds. You're talking now, is it
Fill out my purse.
$70,000?
It ain't even.
It's not, there's,
We're gonna deal with that.
it just says recorder information 70 on your,
Yeah, what page does it show?
161 is where you had it marked at, sir.
So when we go, if we go to page 161, what I was looking for, in fact, in multiple departments, but what I'm looking for was things that had never been funded in the past. And then all of a sudden, a position shows up, and it's out of the 1010,
what's that?
let me, what page
161, which book are you?
Yeah,
It's
on,
in a-
it has to be the line item.
Mm-hmm. So it's an informational systems
Yeah, it's the
manager.
third one down.
No, it's
No?
more than that.
Well, that's what it says, information system.
It looks like the 8th one down.
Oh, okay,
It had-
recorder information, recorder
So,
information.
It's one, I'm very familiar with that office, but it's one that they've never had before. And it's one that all of a sudden was put in to the tune of $70,000. And again, and my issue is I'm just trying to find money because the fire department needs money for medicine, needs money, you know, and that, you know, when they go out on scene.
Positions out.
It's not gonna hurt my feelings again either way. Right now, all I'm trying to do is, all my
There's no
cuts
new money.
are just looking to find money
Mm-hmm.
to add to.
There's no new money.
And so, it just seems like it was an unfunded position in the past. One that's never been funded that I'm aware of. One that was created and put in to the tune of $70,000. And I think that money could be better used elsewhere. It's just, it's an opinion. You know, and again, you know, if we cut this position, we're gonna be up to 410,000. And it's just a you know, it's just a building process. Whether we cut it or not, if we don't cut it, then we're.
So, okay, well,
87,860.
Alderman Davis, any questions of the sponsor?
Well, I just noticed that with their overall budget, it basically is still the same as it has been for the last 3 years. So it looks like they eliminated 2 positions and created another position, and the position that's created
And actually,
appears to be in management, and there's new leadership, and that's a decision that they made.
well, okay, and again, make
So-
sure their budget's.
So if you look at the budget, you've got for FY 2019, it was 1.811, and so for 20 is 1.860. And if you have the difference there, it's not like they added a lot of money to their budget,
No, about 50,000.
yeah, or
And-
35 really, yeah.
Well, I don't have,
Yeah.
11 to 60, about 50, 48 to 50. Well, I mean, again, it's just something to vote on. All I'm trying to do is find money to, you know, you know, all I ask everybody is, if you feel that this is just that important of a position, that office can't manage without it, then leave it in. If you think that taking this money and using it elsewhere, whether it's for fire stuff that's close to me, or whether it's the computer system across the street, if you feel that's more important than this position, then, you know, I would say cut it. If you feel that this position, that office isn't gonna be able to operate without this position, leave it in. It's just,
It just seems like they took a responsible approach to it. That's all I'm saying, nothing else,
well, I mean,
nothing else.
no, I know, it's just a vote, it's just an up or down vote.
Alderman Hubbard, any questions of the sponsor?
We definitely are gonna have to find some money from somewhere, and so I don't know how crucial the position is, so, I may be open to it if they can still function as a entity. But I understand how administration's changing, people move money around, and it's not personal at all in any way, but if we're looking for money, then I probably support it.
Can I ask the chairman,
Yes, sir.
do we have time? Usually we call people in to defend their budget, because there's been cuts and things made.
Mhm.
Do we have time, can we put this on hold and bring up?
Yeah, it might be better, what, that was when it got around to me, I was going to mention that, where you're talking about cutting a position from a department, we'd have to find out what 3 positions were eliminated, why this position was created, you know, you
Well,
know.
I'm for putting this on hold if we
Okay.
can have a recorded. I'm not
Okay.
trying to hurt anybody's, I'm just trying to, my whole thing in this, I've been trying to find the money, but, you know,
Yes, I know.
so.
All right, well, we'll take amendment number 3 and put it on the back burner for right now,
Okay.
and we'll proceed to, amendment number 4 was eliminated actually last Thursday, because that was something we could not do. So, the new amendment number 4, is from Alderwoman Spencer and Alderwoman Howard, but I think this actually was the same thing we just did with, I think both of you introduced the same kind of amendment. This is, because this is removing, reducing the budget from 3.8 to 3.5, I'm guessing from the demo budget. That's
I
something
think
we've
that's
already
what
done, okay.
they were talking
Okay,
about.
so that's, we've already done that.
Seems so.
Okay, does anyone have, we have some new introductions today,
I think we got something.
and what we have before us will be the new amendment number 4, and this is from Alderman Boyd. And it's proposed reduction of $55,016 to reduce the executive assistant to the mayor.
Bold move, girl.
Alderman Boyd, you're on.
My question is, from the previous administration, since the mayor has been in office, we have added 4 positions. And so I'm trying to figure out what is the purpose for 2 administrative assistants to the mayor? The logic behind it. Why do you need 2?
Well,
And since we ponder on, we have a less census. We have less census in the city of St. Louis.
okay. So I guess we would, again, probably have to call someone from the mayor's office in to, I guess, discuss the title. I don't see anyone from the mayor's office here currently to do that. There's Noah, there's Noah.
I don't know if I'm.
Don't put yourself.
I
Yeah.
can call Conway or. Steve
That would, I would
Conway.
recommend that, if we can't, have them, come by, we'll put number 4 in the back burner so they can explain that, I guess, before we go into discussion on it, if that's all right with everyone. Alderman Boyd, you'd like to hear from the office? Okay. Okay, your next one is an increase, we're staying with decreases so far today, so
Right.
we'll table
But I
that.
don't think we can do that because that was from the special events.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
we
Okay,
can't, well,
I didn't
We're
know.
making a pot of money over here.
yeah, we're trying to
So
make
how much we got in the pot?
340 at this point, well,
Yeah, 340?
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay. But we'll stick with the cuts, we'll do the additions
Okay.
after lunch more than likely.
All right.
Let's create a pot and then steal from it later, okay. Okay, we are going to, Alderman Oldenburg will be amendment number
Or was there another
It's
one?
gonna be 4.
Excise.
5.
5.
Well,
Number 5.
we're not gonna do any additions at this point, we'll,
Oh,
we'll
okay.
we'll
Okay.
create the,
So,
okay. So we'll go with number 5 from Alderman Oldenburg is
okay,
proposed cut of,
we got 2, so,
Yep.
yeah,
okay,
on page 274,
yeah.
Fund 1125. So you're talking about reducing, is it 5,539,000?
Yeah, I'm sorry, the one that's not marked, so that's fleet, the 553900, we'll make that amendment 5. This was the point I brought up, at the end of our last meeting, where if you go to page 274, you see we're funding fleet, sort of capital costs out of Proposition P. And my suggestion, is to have that cut from Proposition P that, you know, we overwhelmingly tried to sell our constituents, for an increase in pay, as well as additional personnel for officers, but particularly around pay and a salary increase, not necessarily fleet. So I think there are other places that can be looked to. So the proposal here is, that the police are well overdue in negotiating, in fact, months overdue in negotiating their wage reopener. So they're trying to negotiate salaries right now. The hope is that, through this cut, as well as the other one from these Prop P funds, which is an increase in overtime, I'm happy to talk about separately, we can get, uniformed officers a $2,000 one-time incentive bonus, to hang on until their wage reopener and their contracts, get finalized. I think this does 2 things. I think this says we're serious about, getting a more of a commensurate raise to where county law enforcement officers are, because as you know, it is still woefully short of where county, peace officers come in terms of salary. And additionally, I think this is also look, here's a one-time incentive, to keep you on until the contract's negotiated, and then we can really maybe talk about long-term sustainable expense control vis-a-vis around their pension system. So these are just proposals that I put forward, that I'm happy to talk about, and vote on if we could.
Okay, we will open it up with Alderwoman Davis.
So the only thing I wanna do is to make sure that we are not going against what the voters voted for. Cause I thought some fleet was in that. That there were supposed to be some expenditures for fleet. Who remembers, who can get a copy of that real quick?
Can we get a-
Cause the actual ballot information and I remember discussing this. Did you have a chance to read it?
I did, and I don't have it in front of me, so I can't say for sure, but I don't think equipment or fleet was listed, at least in the ordinance or the bill proposal.
I sort of thought it was.
I know,
thought
I wanna
some
say it
other
was.
things were, but
Cause every time we
could be
pass
wrong.
one of these, we add that in there.
Okay.
That's how they get their new trucks, ambulances, fleet, whenever we do one of those, bond proposals, so. Let's see.
So what you're saying is that if it's in the ordinance, we leave alone, so we don't.
If
act
it's in
like
the
we're-
ordinance, you can't touch it.
Yeah, we don't act like
Yeah.
we're Jefferson City
Yeah,
here, right?
if it's in,
Right.
if it's in the ordinance, you can't touch it. That's the law. So, let's just get a copy of it, make it real
I'm
sure.
okay with that.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. They're pulling the ordinance up,
Okay.
and they're gonna
Perfect.
dig
I'm
it
just gonna
out.
do it right now.
Yeah,
If,
Okay.
that'll be helpful.
well, that will, because if it is in the ordinance, we're gonna
Yeah.
drop it. All right. We can, put that on the side and go to number 6 if you like.
Yeah, so 6 is in the same vein. Again, I'm trying to, the bogey is $1.8 million to get this one-time incentive bonus. And this was an increase in overtime pay that I'd like to just keep flat at the 760. And that generates another 615,000 on top of, the previous amendment reduction, which gets me to that whole number of the 1.8.
Okay. And again, this is Fund
And again, this is,
1125.
this is sort of keeping flat where, there was an increase in overtime paid out of property.
And is this, we're in the same
Both of
ordinance?
these are from Prop P you talking about?
Yes,
They're trying to run up the
Okay, so,
language.
Yeah, I don't think we can touch property though.
well,
Let's see what the
I'm
Well,
not
word
sure
let's see
that's
what it
right.
said.
I'm
We
not
have
sure
to
that's
see what
right.
the wording is.
all right, well, I see, Mr. Conway from the mayor's office is here, whether we're having it dug up. Anybody, opposed to going back to,
No.
Amendment 4.
Oh, you see it?
Alderwoman Boyd's amendment? While we're waiting for it to be pulled up.
Yes, sir.
Alderman, Mr. Conway, would you mind taking the hot seat? We have some questions of you. Alderwoman Boyd has amendment number 4, which is proposed to eliminate the $55,016 executive assistant to the mayor position. Alderwoman Boyd, you're on.
The question that I have, Mr. Conway, is, that office has added 4 positions since her election. And now we have, in this position, you have 2 mayor's assistants. And so I'm just trying to get clarity. Since we keep preaching on, we have such a reduction in census, and so why would we increase staff if we have such a reduction in census? Why do we need extra people?
Okay, we're not actually increasing staff, that job belongs to No, and it was Jay's job previously. So we have not replaced Jay, and we have not replaced the children, youth and families individual yet. And if you look down there in the budget, we've added 55,
The mayor's, yeah, that's right.
that's page 5.
Page 5, on the line item.
And see, previously, we had Patrick, and we had Christina Garmendia, and we had Nicole Hudson. And on Patrick, we will replace him because the vacancy and the demolitions are so important. But we were able, in the new budget, get 2 groups that help pay for part of the previous job that was filled by Carl Filler. But unfortunately, given the fact that what the, and Todd, you can have a seat, we have way less employees than they had at one time. Part of the problem is right now, Jay leaves for way better money than we can pay. Carl leaves for way better money than we pay, and it's been very difficult, even with getting help, to help pay for the one position, where they're gonna pick up part of the cost. But, right now, we're short, from your recent memories, Jay's position, which No is taken over, Carl Filler, which is an important thing, and when I was here before testifying about the equity indicators, that we have to, the greatest area where the most equity indicators, where we make a difference in people's lives, are with the young people. So we've trying as hard as we can to get that position filled so that we can begin to implement and look at these baselines. There are a lot of programs out there. We had 2 people come in for a final interview. The best person declining the job, the other person, we have to start over again. But and Todd's been here since Mayor Slay was here, but you can just see that.
But, okay, my question, it says executive assistant to mayor, what do they do?
Okay,
The
so,
person, what do they do?
If I could, these titles are just, there were personnel sets up for titles. Basically, when we get somebody in here, we have a task for them to do, and we need to fit the salary range to a position to be able to recruit them and get them in here.
But what do they do?
Well, that was, which one are you talking about?
Cause
You're not
you
even
got this
fully.
one up here, 5101, then you have this one down here, 5101, so both of them are executive assistants, so what do they do? That's all I'm asking, you have 2 positions that state the same thing. One is 1116 department, the other one is 1010 department, so what do they do?
So as Steve mentioned, just to clarify the department part, that's actually the funding source. So the 1116 will be a grant, that's not general revenue money.
Okay,
That's what
so
Steve
that's
said,
what I
they went out on the
need to
street
know.
and they have grant money for that bottom position.
And this one here comes out of our money,
Correct, the top, the ones that say 1010 are general revenue money.
okay?
There's 21 positions in there. If you look back, we had 22 positions in there last year. So it's
Okay.
not an increase, there's nothing going up here. And honestly, there's a lot of vacancies there. You can come visit me in my office, we have a lot of empty offices.
I don't wanna visit, I'm just trying to
Yeah.
figure out, cause we trying to find money. So if you have the positions that haven't been filled, so how long haven't they been filled?
I don't have those, I'm not gonna tell you, I know that right off the top, I can get back to you.
Okay.
And tell you what's vacant and who's in which one. Cause
Okay,
I will admit that it is confusing to know who is who. I mean, it's obvious, I'm the director of operations, so that one's a real easy take if you wanna take that one. But some of these other titles don't mirror up to
right.
exactly
Don't
who it
open
is.
that door.
You say what?
I just told him, don't open that door.
I was like, say, right, you right.
My wife's been looking for a way to get me home for a while, so.
So, but to put it in perspective, you all know Jay, he just, quit. We forced Noah into this position and took him away from special projects for now. We will have to get that position filled. The Director of Youth, Family, and Children, absolutely is an important position to get filled. Like I said, I worked the whole process to get down the final 2 candidates, and that was 9 days ago. And after all that time we put in to get it, and, we went out and searched, and then Patrick Brown, what we're doing with the vacant properties and the demos and the coordinating of that, Patrick has to be replaced, because it's an important program that we're running in the city. And so each of these things, we are looking for persons. We have to kind of start over, now that I've got Noah here. I'm not such an urgency to replace what Noah used to be doing. But we have things backing up on some of the projects, but I have to get up and running and get more information out on our demos and our vacancies. You gotta understand, last year, in 2018, we more than doubled how many vacant properties. And
You
I
did.
know,
You did.
and,
that took a lot of effort to coordinate that and get all the contractors up and running. But each of these positions, we have everybody covering.
So this grant, you looking for somebody for the grant to fill that position?
Right.
Okay, so you'll give me the information? Thank you,
who's in what?
thank you.
All right, so Alderman Barr, you wanting to continue with this amendment, or do you feel that they've explained it to you? Still want to pursue this, or?
I think they explained it, I just need the information.
Okay, so, go ahead, Alderman Davis.
All the way.
So can we still take the funds from Jay's position?
We actually need that. I mean, even with Jay's position filled, we were one less than previous. And we've asked everybody to pitch in at the office, because we don't have a staff person in theory, to work on special projects. No used to work on a lot of the special projects for us, to aid Linda, myself, and Todd on these projects. We have a mayor's representative on every RFP committee going on in the city of St. Louis. And if you ever look at our public website, you know, and so Noah does a lot of them, and we have a lot of things that we have to have that job assigned to, besides taking care of the normal processes and the special requests of the alderman. If I don't have Noah available, I can't respond to all of those things either. But right now, we're operating just with a chart, one less than before, and we will operate that way, because I've got a commitment out of staff that, you know, they gotta do it. And-
So technically, you're already operating with one less.
Right, on this, if you look back on page 5 and go to the column 1.
Two less if you include the grant positions on the
Well,
bottom.
yeah.
22, 24. So there's one less in general revenue and one less in the grant position.
Right.
So we're two less than we had last year.
And how much time is left on that grant position?
Well, those two expired, Patrick's, both of them, let's see, Patrick's
It was in the fall of last year, Patrick's expired.
and Christine Garmendia's expired 12/31.
Okay.
And we got the equities indicator baseline report out, we've made it available to all of you, and, you know, hopefully you've looked at it. But there's a lot there that we need to coordinate to begin implementing to make a difference in these indicators and the outcomes that we're gonna see in the future. And that's why we work so hard with the mental health foundation and the, trying to think of which the other group was that was funding that position. We have two funders that'll fund 2/3 of one of the positions, but the other grant position I don't have the money for.
Okay.
Anything further, Alderman?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Alderman Vaccaro, any questions of mayor staff while you have them here?
I do, which we somewhat talked about. You know, why not move Scott Ogilvy into one of them? We created, or somebody created a position, not, you know, name, but $67,000, created a position which comes out of the mayor's budget as like a bike czar or something. Why not put him in one of those positions and we take that 67,000? I mean, I'm not even trying to be mean, although he was always talking about all the wasteful spending, and this seemed a little wasteful to me. But we're trying to find money for medicine, which I think is extremely important when the ambulances show up. We're trying to, at least I am, trying to find money for the breathing apparatuses, which we've already been sued over. You know, I get the fire department asking for a little over $300,000, and, you know, everything counts. And why not move them into one of those positions rather than create a position that pays $67,000?
Well, two things. First of all, we had a person that did that,
And what did it pay?
off the top of my head, not that much, but his name is Dennis Bogdanovic. It was in the street department. I'm sorry, where was it? It was in the street department. And it really should be a planning because it's the future, it's alternative transportation. What you have, in Scott or Alderman Ogilvy, whatever you wanna call him, incredibly talented. He's put in an inordinate amount of time and he's demonstrated to us that from a planning perspective, he's worth every penny that we're paying him.
And he's got a degree in this. No.
I don't know what he has
doesn't
a
have a
degree.
in it. He doesn't.
If I could, gentlemen, so that position was paying right at $61,000 last year, okay? And we tried filling that job, I believe, 3 times. We've been trying to put a bike ped coordinator, you know, commuter, how you put all that traffic together, and we've never found the right guy, okay? And as far as it coming out of the mayor's budget, right now, we can take money from where the position sits over in planning and reimburse the mayor's office, okay? So it's not, there's no money there, okay? Until personnel catches up and gets us a good list, and we do some hiring, it's all gonna balance out.
I just.
So it's not a great increase is what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't seem like a position, kind of, Scott's talented, you use in other positions that you say you can't fill. My argument still goes back to, is it a position that is absolutely necessary for the operation of the city?
Well, I could comment on that. You see these scooters all over the place?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do is coordinate the scooters and the bikes and the use of Metrolink. And these scooters have created some, liability, what's going on, it takes a lot of policing. And that's where Scott comes into play to work with these and police. And, he's working toward a public safety campaign to reduce some infomercials and try to get helmets on these people to be safe. And that's key, what Scott is working on now, trying to accomplish.
So, and this is just be my last comment.
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, do we actually feel that that is more important than the firefighters going in and being safe, or the medicines? But that's okay, I'm sorry.
No.
It just seemed to me like what you were trying to cut made sense. And, it's gone up to 5 of the special assistants from 3, if I look right. And I know that was one of the special assistants. So, when these guys were talking to Pam about what she was wanting to cut, you were talking about one position, but there's 5 positions that are in that. And that's one of them, and I thought, well, maybe that seemed like a place to go and move him somewhere else.
And that's just the personnel department's description of, a broad range of people that work.
So, but if we vote on Pam, amendment, cut to 50, whatever it was, it's either up or down, but it seems to me like there's 5 positions in there. Just my thought. Pam could do whatever she wants to do. She could either ask to vote on it, we vote up or down, or we don't. It's her call. That was just my only comment.
All right, anything further? Alderman Hubbard, do you have any comments?
Thank you for coming and clearing this up, because when we're looking at these numbers and you're looking at some of the salaries, it looks like there's a lot of fat around there in room 200, but not literally. But so, it just puts everybody in an awkward space, because we all know what our needs are, and nobody wants to give up anything, so good luck with everything.
And those aren't the highest salaries in the city.
Oh, well, I know they're not.
No.
I know they're not.
We
I've been
know.
looking
We
at
went
them.
through that.
Okay.
All right. Alderman Murphy, anything?
No questions, thank you.
Alderman Spencer?
I have no questions either. I will say though that, with regards to having, somebody in city government who's dedicated to pedestrian and bike safety, I'm happy about that. We have 3 times the national average in pedestrian fatalities here in St. Louis City. Those are primarily, the victims of which are primarily people of low income and people of color. And it happens in lower income neighborhoods that don't have infrastructure and don't have adequate planning. We fail as a city to put planning as a top priority, and those most vulnerable among us are the ones that are most greatly impacted. And so I'm grateful that there's at least somebody out there paying attention to that. Whether they're in the mayor's office, I would prefer them to be in the streets department. Regardless of who it is, I'm grateful we have that position.
Anything
That's all I'll
further?
say about that.
All right, thank you. Alderman Oldenburg?
No questions,
No
I
They ought
value
to be
those
in the
positions.
streets, that's my opinion.
Okay.
I'm good.
Alderman Clark Hubbard?
No
All right. Okay, Alderman Barr, are you wanting to pursue this amendment, or as far?
Yeah, I really would, because I keep hearing in my head, when the mayor kept telling me when we were having conversation about the whole war reduction thing, and the whole conversation was, we don't have the census. And so, again, we have departments that are heavy, and we need to look at those departments and say, where do we need to cut to make sure that we are being respectful to the people of the city of St. Louis and working our budget to best of our ability. So I would like to get the information. I'm kind of questionable because it's a grant, and so I'm kind of figuring out, if you don't get this grant, so you'll only have 1 position, am I correct?
Right, well, here's the other thing, and speaking of the census, that was another job that we dropped. We have to have someone designated from the mayor's office to coordinate the census and the marketing. I mean, it's more marketing to get our residents, because it's so important to get everybody counted. But that was another thing that I dropped on NOAA too, is to be, work in charge of that with Emily, because we have to coordinate. This is, I mean, this is a really important, job that we have to do, and that's get everybody counted. And it's special projects like that that we have to keep, you know, people are gonna hold us responsible for, and maybe we don't toot our horns enough on all of the projects that we're doing, but, what is that group called, Noah? The census group, the working group,
Oh, the complete council.
the Complete Counts Committee. And, that's really important to all of us.
Okay, so, Alderwoman Davis, feel free, go
I'll
ahead.
be real quick. The complete count committee is not inclusive if it does not include someone from this office over here. And that's one of the things I saw didn't happen in the last census, but it needs to happen now. This, and I agree, it's so critical. Actually, there's a whole group, a whole movement out here for people not to participate in the census. So we really have to be extremely active, and we all need to be included on a higher level than we've ever been included before. So if nothing else, tell us who the director is for the district office, but send us some information, okay?
Sure.
Whenever there are meetings, send it to us, because some of us will take the time and be present and try to help this effort.
Of course.
Okay.
So Alderwoman, I believe I heard you wanna get some more information, you wanna put, sort of put Alderman, we'll put amendment number 4 on hold at this moment, okay?
Thank you all.
We'll go back to,
Don't leave. Didn't you have another one?
no, the next one's a Prop P.
Okay.
All we have is
Oh,
Prop
yeah,
P.
okay.
Okay, so we have before us a copy of Prop P. If we read through it, will this let us know if we can or cannot do what we're doing? Have you been reading through
I
it?
have, I mean, what I would say is it's vague, so no surprise there, right? Providing revenues for public safety, that's line 8 is probably, but I did a control, search, nowhere in here is fleet or
I
equipment.
agree with you, this
And
shouldn't have
then,
never
and
been
then
out
down
there.
in line 18, providing revenues for the operation of the Department of Public Safety, which I assume it could fall under that. So what I'd like to do is, I wanted to bring this up this morning, so I want to pull these amendments,
Okay.
for right now, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so we'll hold those to a later point. And
This is for all operations. That means you can't mess with that money.
so at this point, we have no further amendments as far as reductions before us. We have a pool of $340,000 that we've created.
So you're
Because
saying
we're,
after lunch you wanna do somehow?
Wait a minute.
well,
It's not gonna be much, it's not gonna be covered anything.
So all we have over here in this pot is 340.
that's correct. The special
Oh,
events
yeah.
office is $40,000.
That's what I said, yeah.
The reduced the demolition budget by 300.
Near the million.
The recorder deeds office, amendment was on hold. We wanted to hear, as we discussed, that was a point where they combined or eliminated 3 positions and created a new one.
Does somebody come up like we just?
But
did?
we'd have to contact them,
Yeah.
but we'll,
I'll be honest, I'm not interested in hearing recorded deeds, because that's a responsible way to handle a budget. You find the means within the budget to do what you need to do. So they eliminated some,
3 smaller jobs.
yeah, and then they decided this position would be more important, and we don't know what the tasks were that were included from those other positions. But if you manage your budget where it doesn't end up needing more money, that's a responsible way to handle your budget.
That's right, all I'm trying to do is find money to do
Yeah.
the different things we need
but,
to do.
it's kind of a
and-
blind grab. since
Yeah, I
we
mean,
don't
that's
know
the
the-
only
It's a
thing that they
position
did.
It's a position that's never been.
Well,
No.
No, I know that. Well, I'm aware of it over.
Well, they
at least an
reduced
8 or 9
3.
period.
That
Right,
was
they
just-
got 3 less, but it's a position that never
I
been
guess
there.
my thing, they reduced 3.
Yeah, I
Got
didn't want
some
you-
that ain't reduced none.
I'm not messing with that.
Well,
well, we can put it to a vote and kill it, or pass it, or you wanna wait till you hear from the office?
it's up to everybody here. I really, it's, all I was trying to do was come up with, and I was gonna also question Tom, that if he took $1,200,000 out of the police budget, no guarantee it was gonna go where he wants it to go.
That's so very true.
So if he takes that million whatever out, it could it may not go where he believes he wants it to go. I mean, and still keep in mind that whatever we cut, that doesn't make sense,
We need more money.
A&A will put that in.
Yeah, police budget.
No, I mean, as far as what I heard from last week, the things that we're looking for, we're probably in the area of, requires $1 million as far as needs. We're talking about the breathing apparatus, we're talking about the door-to-doors,
Well, and it seemed that nobody wants to do it.
well, but currently of that need, we have, less than half of that.
Communication. We're looking
And
at
I have, there's no other,
I,
Fire department.
maybe we should look within our own
That's what we
budget
can look
at
for
some
now.
of the
I
positions
forgot.
we're putting on.
well, you wanna eliminate 14 aldermen this week?
We can, I have no problem with that.
We can start right there,
I-
today.
There you go. No, I mean, I know we're putting in, I know we could use a research assistant, but,
Shuffle them up.
Is it-
So
is
we're
that
trying to
position-
add money today.
you know, Gerard wants to speak on
Come up
it,
with
but
That should be,
that
you
position,
can't have more than one line item, so that has to
Tom
be.
can speak on, Tom, you
What
want
page is this?
I'm sorry, Joe, what was your,
maybe Tom could speak on some of
What
the,
they two.
I know we're putting like a research assistant and some other positions that we have, that we could use.
you're talking about on the president's staff, is what you're talking about?
I know,
Yeah,
that's
on
18,
our overall staff.
19 and 20.
I'm just trying to find one.
That's what I'm saying.
And we've been without one.
I believe Alderman McCarr would like to question you about the budget of the president's
Where
staff.
is it at? We can't find it.
Tom, what I'm asking, apparently the mayor's budget is just, can't do without all these people, just impossible, so we won't run. I understand that. It's probably way more
That's
important
fair
than,
for them to do what I.
well, and I'm being mean.
Yeah.
But, but, what seems more important to me is, and I'm only looking at our own budget again. Like the research assistant, is that something that, I know we really could use it,
So is it
we've been
one?
without it.
No,
Is that-
8.9.
I'm just trying to find one. And we've already looked within the mayor's budget, and the city will fall apart. We can't ever have a special event ever again.
Sure.
It's okay if the firefighters run the fire without breathing apparatus or shelter and medicine. We're looking within our own budget. I mean, can we get by without a research assistant for one more year?
Well, I think, we kind of left that up to the clerk currently, who's been looking at all the positions. We posted all the vacant positions that we have. They've been going through the applications, and I do believe he has some plans and some, need for that position. How it can help with the committees, keeping notes of the committees, doing minutes, which we're now doing for each committee meeting, and hopefully that's been helping everybody, the minutes that are being done. So they were looking at that position, performance on those tasks.
I agree Terry's doing a wonderful job. But as we're looking outside to other departments, asking them, it's a position that we haven't had.
Mhm.
That's all.
We had it
we
once, though. Remember Jennifer Franklin
Yeah.
performed
She
those
was
duties at
short
one
there.
point? Yeah,
So-
just for about a
So,
year.
I surrendered that, I don't know where it was. If we can't look within ourselves and we can't look in the mayor's office, my idea of getting rid of the fire department, having one truck with running boards and everybody can jump on board.
Volunteer fire department.
Yeah, that's definitely out of the question. I've got one truck with running boards.
How much is the fire suppression?
Well,
Or
the fire
the
suppression,
breathing apparatus? Is that what we're
it
looking for?
is,
360.
yeah, it's in here somewhere. I have to find it.
He got it done.
Okay.
So,
360.
yeah, I mean, the drugs, I really think they're important, equipment, needles and stuff like that. They did me a favor, probably didn't do the board a favor, but they managed to keep me alive. The board's fine after. But 70,000 for the breathing apparatus, I would think that is extremely important. they would have to give me a better understanding about why the communication and why they haven't maybe even combined the communications into one. But I don't know about that either. Health and safety, I don't know, but, you know, the medicines and the breathing, seem pretty important.
Oh, yeah, and I, you know, of course, the president's office supports finding this money for this, and, we'll definitely work to do it. I know that, I know there may be some cuts that get suggested from ENA when we make a response back. Some of the, I know as far as, you know, I know the demolition fund was, just cut.
Here's a cut for it.
And I know, you know, there was some idea to maybe fund a program, a door-to-door program. But I know there is a fund, where we collect money on vacant buildings, I think it's $200 a year, sometimes $400 a year. And, that's money that could actually be used for that program as well. So we'll work to find the money. I don't know what, I don't know if it'll come from the board of aldermen or not. You know, we're one of the most understaffed branches of government. So,
My thing was, we're, you know, if we're looking at a fairness,
we should all be looking at cuts.
you know, we need to look within too.
Sure.
And I strongly believe that the cuts to the mayor's office, given the importance of one thing versus another, should have been, I would have voted with him. I think looking within our own budget, you know, these are opinions and really. I should
Okay,
be-
all right, if we can go around the horn. And, Alderman Davis, any questions of Mr. Shepherd while he's here?
We need more money for staff.
Okay.
How do you propose to find
All right.
that?
Would the clerk, Mr. Kennedy, like to join Mr. Shepherd in case we have any questions? So if we're talking about the staffing of the board, we'll have them both available for questions. All right, Alderman Hubbard, any questions of the clerk or Mr. Shepherd?
No questions.
All right, Alderman Murphy,
No questions.
okay. And Alderman Spencer, you had a,
I had no questions, but I wanted to mention, you know, as you were talking about this, need for $70,000 for the breathing apparatus, as it pertains to the vacant building, fees and fines. If we are able to implement this door-to-door crew, Mr. Oswald indicated that he thought that we would be able to generate $50,000 to $70,000 in additional fees and fines out of that. So perhaps some of that money, or the entirety of that money, could go to fund,
So,
it would be new money generated from the door-to-door crew.
also, we're just doing cuts out, if you're proposing to put that to the building, so that would be, then, when we come back, we're gonna put that, so you could take any amount of this 300 and put it into.
In order to run an effective door-to-door crew, you need around $300,000. What I'm saying is that door-to-door crew, by way of issuing fees and fines to vacant building owners, should generate between $50,000 and $70,000 of additional new revenue. Remember, the point of the door-to-door crew is not to fee and fine people, but it's to get people into building code compliance, which would actually help to reduce the strain on our fire department in a general sense by reducing some of the fires associated with
So in order to
unsecured
include that in
vacant
the
buildings.
budget, that would, require, I think, the budget director to revise his revenue estimate to include the possibility of that money
Okay.
to make the budget balance.
I'm
I
just-
don't know if that's something that.
I'm mentioning it as a possibility, that's all at this point. I would also like to reiterate, the Alderwoman from the 19th, we do need more staff here at the Board of Aldermen. And I would hate to see us cut our budget, to make up the difference, because we're already so understaffed, and our staff is so underpaid and underappreciated and receives a very little amount of, in the way of professional development. It makes it very, very hard to operate. We're the only legislative body I'm aware of in the world that has, you know, as little staff per electeds as we have here. We have one lawyer for 29 of us, which makes it very, very difficult to get any amount of research done. Cutting the research assistants would only put the burden on our clerk and the other staff that's here. It would be, make these jobs even more difficult, more strenuous to do. So I'm just voicing my opinion on that, and that's all.
And I don't disagree, but my argument was, even like in your home budget, you know, sometimes you don't get the notification to replace an icebox or something, but I'm just saying if we're looking in other departments, we certainly should look within ourselves.
All right.
I would agree if we weren't so understaffed as it is.
Okay. We're just spurting
Well, that-
opinions.
I
All
mean,
right.
it seems to be
Thank
the
you, Mr.
general
Chairman.
consensus.
I
All right.
appreciate, I
I
appreciate
just threw it out there.
Okay, Alderman Boyd, any questions of the clerk or Mr. Shepherd while we have him here?
One for the board.
I just can't see messing with what we're doing, cause we don't have what we need in the first
Sure
place.
don't.
All right,
We
okay.
don't even have a color copy. You know,
Yeah,
that's so
we
sad.
don't have anything, so I'm just
Never
like.
seen nothing like it.
All right, Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions?
No question.
All right, okay. All right, Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Shepherd, I believe you're excused, but stay close just in case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, before you, we have amendment number 7 introduced by Alderwoman Davis. It's on page 262 of your line item book in regards to the police department.
It's 265.
Is it 265?
Five?
I'm sorry.
Okay,
That's why I said I couldn't find it.
I'm sorry, that was me.
265,
I'm
okay.
writing too fast.
Okay, the line item is 5172124.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about a $1.2 million reduction from 8.9 to 7.7. This is in regard to what is the,
So then, this is just wrong all the way around then.
Huh?
That's not where I'm, no,
It
I'm
was
right.
260.
262?
It's 262.
All right.
So the
That's
other
not,
numbers wrong?
it's 262.
You were wrong once, but you were mistaken. I know.
Yeah, it's 262.
So,
It's 262.
So it's a different line number?
Yes, it's 262 because it encompasses the whole thing.
This number is different,
Yeah.
517200.
Let's go to page,
5172124.
yeah.
it's 5172124.
I don't know what I'm doing right now.
That's on 265.
262.
262.
This number is
This
wrong.
should have
It
been the
517200.
Oh, so the line item. number.
000.
Okay.
Okay. We'll get it right eventually.
Yeah.
5172000.
Okay.
Overtime has always been a problem,
Right.
okay? And no matter what the dollar amount is budgeted, it's either gonna more than likely go over. But I think that one of the things that we're trying to work on is to try to have less overtime by doing some things different as far as community policing and some other things that are being considered. And so I feel comfortable reducing that amount at this moment and have those funds available for a couple of the other items that we've looked at here, and also have some funds available for cure violence,
Okay.
okay?
Yes, sir.
You're saying 262, there is no overtime, overtime being funded on page 262.
You all should have left me alone, because I had it right. I really had it right.
5172000. That line.
No, I had it right, I was looking at it. I know, I had it right. Here it is.
So what is it?
Commission overtime.
Just hold on a second. Here it is. Right here. Commission overtime.
So what page?
Okay, so
259.
I,
It's just the
259.
page number that's wrong. 250.
I'm writing it all over again.
All right, so it's 259.
I'm gonna write it all over
59,
again.
and the
The
item,
only thing, is
The only
just
thing
page
wrong is
number,
page number, yeah.
That's it.
Page number is 259, that's the only thing wrong.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
only thing wrong.
All right
All
then.
right, so it's still line item 5172000.
5172124.
Oh,
yeah.
That's the commission overtime.
we're back to the original line item.
Yeah, back to what I had, yeah.
It was just the wrong page. That was
Just the
all.
wrong page number,
Oh.
okay. So, if you,
259.
59. It's 5172124. For commission overtime.
so when you look over what was requested and what was budgeted, that's still an awful lot of money for overtime. And what was actually used last year was 8 million too. That was a crazy time. There were a lot of things going on. But things are calmer now. We anticipated staying that way, But if we include some more grassroots community policing,
It'll stop.
I think that this will reduce even
Right.
more. So what we need to do is reduce that over time, so we can have some funding to do some things differently. As I stated before, the police need help.
Right.
We're asking them to do things that they were never trained to do. And so we shouldn't be asking or expecting them to do those things. And I'm making some funding available so that we can do things that have been proven around the country that actually reduce crime, and you have better community and engagement with your police officers, and that's critical for us. So let's try that, and we always know that if for some reason there is some additional overtime money needed, we always find it, don't we, Al?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Alderman McCarron, any questions of the sponsor of Amendment 7?
Not a whole lot, really. And I understand that it's gonna be available, it's not like they can't have it, even if they go over.
We're fine.
I understand that. I guess, I wish Tom was still in the room, because he had some thoughts that he wanted to use. You know, I wanna make sure, I'm all for it. I don't know if we need to cut it that much, but I am all for a cut where we get to the money we need to do what we want.
And we know that 9 times out of 10, that'll be probably cut in half or whatever by the time it comes back, so.
Well, or maybe we, how much money are we actually looking for?
Well, again, from what I've heard from last week's meetings, we were actually under $1 million for what we're actually looking to, from what was proposed and asked of, you know, the things going through all the meetings, we were under $1 million as far as what people wanted to fund.
So, instead of cutting it that drastically.
Well, that, I mean, if this would pass and if this is, again,
It's for negotiation.
it's,
Right, no, I understand.
yeah.
I understand. I was just asking maybe if we,
You're just looking to end the meeting early, I know.
no, reduce it by a lesser amount, to still come up with $1 million. We got 340. Maybe we only really,
Slow
maybe
down.
we really only need to reduce it to say 700,000.
Well, we still, is the communication request added into that amount of money we're looking for?
There's a communication, there's a request for excise, the firefighters, and for the door-to-doors. And I think it totals out right around 1 million, maybe a hair over.
Okay, so we need to leave it at this amount.
But we can, you know, because again, there's no other proposals before us
Yeah.
that we're visiting.
And like we said, when they go to E&A, it's probably
It's
gonna
gonna be
move,
cutting.
yeah, they gonna change it.
But did you have questions, Mr. Oldenburg?
No, I
Joseph?
I was only concerned if, I think that's the same place you were wanting to take from to do your retention.
What's been proposed, have you got Marlene's amendment before
I
you?
do, I
Okay,
do.
this is in regard to overtime, stating that last year, as requested 8.9 this year, last year they used 8.2. She's proposing reducing it down to 7.7. Joe's mentioned maybe just driving it down to 8.2. But apparently, that was his question of you.
Well, it's targeting the same one that he was targeting.
Right, but it looks like this was coming out of a different fund, right?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
This is not Prop P.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my only thing, I would feel more comfortable if we dropped it just a little bit more, and make it more in line with what we're looking for.
Okay, so no direct question then,
No
all right?
direct questions.
Okay, and we'll go to Alderwoman Hubbard. Any questions of the sponsor?
No question.
All right, thank you. Alderwoman Murphy, any questions of the sponsor?
No questions on that.
Alderwoman Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this would just be a reduction of 1.2 million in overtime
Request.
request?
Request in OT.
Will this
okay.
result in, what kind of reduction in
Staffing.
coverage and staffing will this?
Shouldn't be any. So it is anticipated that it will be needed for that much in overtime. But some of the things, and I just listened to the judge the other day on 2 different occasions, at 2 different events, talking about the new things that they're bringing on board for assistance for the police department. And so I don't believe that all of this overtime will be required. And then we're wanting to bring in Cure Violence as well to work in communities and that should also help reduce some of the overtime that's required. Because a lot of times we've been adding police officers just because people want them sitting on corners. And that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So as we operate differently and as we put more resources there, some federal resources are coming in, some state resources are coming in, we won't probably need as much overtime. And if we stay calm this summer, everybody in the university is listening. If we stay calm this summer, that's where a lot of that overtime went to the last couple of years. So we can pray for that.
Is there more, I mean, it was the 1.2, is this a figure that the police department feels comfortable? I mean, I'm just trying to understand. I'm really grateful to hear that we can make this kind of cut and that we're shifting resources, especially if we can start to fund Cure Violence and other proactive rather than reactive public safety measures. I'm just wondering if there's more room in this, or if this is the ceiling, or how we kind of came to the one.
Well, what I did was I looked at the previous years, and I kind of remember in my head, because I've been sitting here for a while on this committee, what was more likely to take place. And so I didn't go too far over that.
Makes sense. I appreciate the explanation, Mr. Chairman, and that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll come back to you, Alderman McCarroll, go around the board one more time. Alderman Oldenburg.
Your thinking on this cut, Alderwoman, was just based on that you think that they'll need less overtime?
There's a strong possibility. If we get all the we are getting a lot of new assistants, and a lot of the overtime was used on the unrest that we had. And so I'm thinking that we're not gonna be as needing that much overtime. And if we get all the assistance and we get all the additional things that we're talking about doing, I think we could see that number be reduced. But irregardless, one of the things that we are very good at is if the money is needed later on, probably not all of this. If you just need another 100,000 or something like that, we'll find it. 100 to 100,000, we'll find it. We're not gonna not have policing happen when it's needed.
Right.
That's not gonna happen.
My only concern would be, I'm sure this was in consultation with Judge Edwards and the police department, as well as the chief on where who are much closer to kind of the needs of overtime to cover staffing.
And this will
would
go
they
back to
project
ENA again, and so
Yeah.
they will surely cut it.
I understand this.
Yeah.
I would be opposed to this, and I would
Yeah.
object to this and vote no to let my committee members know that.
Okay. No further? All right. Alderman Boyd, any questions of the sponsor?
I feel that, and that, Joe, you could probably answer this. Even though the recommendation is for the cut, the police are gonna figure out a way, cause they'll do the overtime.
What my concern, and I don't disagree, I'm thinking it should be a lower number. Cause what's gonna happen, overtime isn't just there's riots or this, overtime is when I call and say, look, they're speeding up and down Watson Road, and because every time somebody calls me, I always think somebody's gonna get killed. They can't get hurt or maimed, they gotta be killed. And when I call, that's when they'll put a police officer out, and I'm sure we all do that. And they do that on overtime. If we cut that budget, they're liable to be snarky and say.
That's not how we operate. Now, I've been an intimate part of that police department.
I think
That's not how we operate.
That's not how
Because
No.
one thing about the
You
police,
don't call the head
no,
police
one
when
thing
you're
about.
But that's not how they
No,
operate.
They don't- they
They
don't-
don't do that.
they don't send somebody out.
They're gonna make
No.
that overtime happen regardless, Joe.
I'm just saying,
That cut is not gonna
Maybe
impact
that's
them
how
one
they
way
do
or
it
the
in the
other.
23rd, but that's
Yeah,
not
they don't
how
do it
they
in
do
my
it in the
all I
20th.
know is they always tell me that they have to get a certain amount of overtime approved. I'm just saying what they tell me. And that's how they do that. I also know that and of course, I'm sure it's just the police side, but, you know, on the dispatchers, they're on 12-hour mandatory overtime, because they can't get enough dispatchers. And there's a shortage. But I don't know that I can support the 1.2 million, I could probably support more like 700, you know, what I think we honestly need that I could justify and say, look, this is money that.
Well, I can go with that.
Yeah.
You would like for it to be lower?
I would like to be, but that's just, you know, that's me.
So,
I'm only one.
what we're proposing is changing it from a 1.2 to a $700,000
I
reduction?
can live with that. Because we'll still end up getting what we want.
Gives us that $1 million.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
700,000 gives us the $1 million.
Okay.
And-
So-
And,
You say
and,
what?
I'm
Okay.
sorry. So if we did 700,000, it gives us the $1 million. The fire department, Al sent the message over by way of whatever time, that even if they got half of that 300, like 150, that would satisfy their needs, and then they would just fight and $50 million for the rest. So that, in my mind, that's still.
So a cut of 700,000 with the 340 we've cut would give us, you know, 1 point, you know, yeah, so we're within the realm of what
Can
we're
you live
looking
with
for.
8? How about that? Can you live with 8?
Well, I'm watching Pawn
I
Stars
was
now.
thinking.
Yeah, let's live with
I
8.
was thinking 7
with
would
what?
be.
Because you
800.
know what, Joe?
800,000.
She's changing her amendment to a reduction of $800,000 as opposed to 1.2 million. The $800,000 in combination with the 340,000 we've already allotted, this amendment would pass, would give us the little over $1 million that we're searching for to
Yeah.
fund the
Fund these very-
additions we're looking for.
Right,
And,
yeah.
Yep.
okay, and so we are at Alderman Barton, anything further?
That's what they say.
All right, thank you. Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions? My, because currently we are still, what, 135 to 140 officers down?
Yeah.
And the salary allotted for them, is that being used for the overtime?
Yes, it
Budget
is.
at this
Yes,
time.
it is. That I do not for.
Yeah,
So that's why I feel comfortable doing this.
So we have the means,
Yeah.
let it be known that I feel we all do support the police. and
Oh,
this is-
199%.
This
Say that
is, this
again,
is
Joe.
nothing at
Say it
all.
one more time.
We're only looking for
They
money.
know I love them. I've gone on the
Right, 'cause
sword
they
many
swear
times.
We're looking for money to help
Yes.
the fire department, to help the excise commission, to help some other points. So this is by no means anything, what's a proposal that we still have to send to E&A,
Right.
and that we'll do.
Yeah,
So if
that's
there's
it.
no further questions, entertain a motion to, we'll have to take a roll on amendment number 7 to reduce the overtime budget by $800,000. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Pass. That's a
Alderwoman
chicken move. No,
Powell.
Make it an aye, I'm sorry.
Bite the bullet, Joe, bite the bullet.
Make it aye. No, I'll be an aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad, Alderman Oldenburg,
No.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Valmer.
Aye.
8 aye votes and 1 no vote.
Okay, I have no further amendments as far as reductions before us at this time. We have passed out all 1 and 2. Alderman Barter, we still holding on to amendment number 4? You want further information from me on that? So we'll keep that on hold. And Alderman Oldenburg, you have 5 and 6. Are you still willing to pursue these?
No.
Okay, so amendments 5 and 6 will be dropped. And we have just passed out amendment 7.
Another one we can put.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
We're gonna
Yes.
do it.
my amendment to cut the
We
demo
want this money
budget.
to go back.
We did that.
We passed that before you arrived.
We did
I'm
it.
sorry, I was.
Oh, I didn't get
Well,
we didn't.
if you'd like to speak on it, you can, but we've already been through there.
We've done it.
Okay.
Done good.
So at this point, we're going to take a little lunch break and come back afterwards and start to create the wants.
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's up to him. When do you want us back?
When do I want you back?
Yeah, You're the teacher
It
here.
is basically 11:37. We'll be back here about, about 12:30.
How come you don't have lunch here and we just have
It's
a
over there
working
waiting for you.
lunch? Well,
over
doesn't
there
need to be
Well,
right.
he said that the other day, he said, I'm gonna have to supply y'all with lunch. He did.
Oh,
I
he
gave him
did.
that.
So
it's
I-
over
I
for.
requested wings
We like
for my
children,
lunch.
you
right
can be
here.
hard to get us that.
All right, so tell television we're taking a break. All right, we'll reconvene the Ways and Means hearing in regard to Board Bill 1. Sharita, please call the roll.
Yeah.
Alderwoman Davis,
Figure out who the.
Alderman Vaccaro,
President,
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
President.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Here.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Present.
Alderman Muhammad,
Here.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Here.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Present.
Chairman Ballmer.
Present.
10 present, you have quorum.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming back after lunch and not disappearing. What has occurred is I've had a request to drop the decrease, what was Amendment 3 we discussed earlier, by Alderman Vaccaro, so that will be off the books. We'll be dropping Amendment number 4 in the decrease department, proposed by Alderwoman Boyd. So those are both off the books. We passed out 3 amendments, which were number 1, 2, and 7. I'll ask Sharita to take Amendment 7 and change it to Amendment 3. That was in regard to the pension reduction. So we have passed out 3 reductions. Those are Amendments 1, 2, and 3. We will now take up the increases with Amendment number 4, proposed by Alderman Vaccaro and Alderman Muhammad. In regard to, this is on page 2, legislative researcher 5101000, increase in salary of $4,974, up from $19,200 to $24,200. Alderman Vaccaro, you're first, or you're listed as a sponsor?
yeah, so,
Here's our legislative.
what I found is when we went on break is that, we're having trouble getting this position filled. So we're increasing it that slight little bit to get it up in salary, to make it more appealing. It's not much of an increase, but it, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's what, about $24,000
Yeah.
increase? So, I'm sorry, so yes, with benefits, it's 24,232. So
An
that-
increase to the base salary that's already there.
No, well, it's a position we're trying to fill, and
But
it's an increase to, you're right.
It's a
the base salary
$4,974 increase to the salary.
That already exists.
Okay.
And it doesn't affect the budget that much. It will take away almost 5,000 out of the $1 million that we got put aside.
All right, Alderman Davis, any questions of the sponsor?
So the base salary that you already had in the budget was how much?
It was like 19, it goes right over 19,258.
The salary was 19,000.
Yeah, I believe so. No, I'm sorry, wait a minute.
No,
Yeah,
that's
the
an increase, that's the
right.
increase.
No, we're adding 19 to the salary.
So the
I'm
base
sorry.
salary was
30.
30.
Yes.
And so
Tom's
now,
helping me from-
so now the salary is 49,258.
Right.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
We have the apostrophes in the wrong spot.
that's okay.
So what was the base
We're
salary?
lucky we have apostrophes in.
30.
So what was it at first?
We're on line item,
Now, wait a minute.
we're on page 2,
It was 30.
line item 510100.
So in the budget currently, it's 30,000. we're gonna increase it 19,000,
Wow.
plus
That's nowhere near what that's
4,900 to benefits. So it's a total increase or
No.
decrease of the million of 24,232. But we figure we have a better chance of actually attracting a researcher assistant. And at that, because so far they've never been able to fill it.
Your base salary is 30 in the budget currently,
Right.
and we're increasing the salary by 19
There.
to 58,
So we
plus
should-
the additional benefit dollar amount.
Plus the benefits, because you have to have the benefits.
That's what
the
she
cost.
just said.
Okay,
Right, so I know, I was just agreeing.
all right, so Alderman Davis, like to continue then? Now we have
I'm
that
fine, we have clarity, I'm fine.
straight. All right, okay. Alderwoman Hubbard, any questions of the sponsor?
No question.
Alderman Murphy?
No questions, this will come within the budget we already have.
No.
It's
This would be a deduction
Increase our
from-
budget
It's gonna
by,
increase our budget by 24,000.
by 24,000, okay.
$232.
There you go.
And that is to increase it for this position, so it changes that position up 19,000.
Right, I understand. But so you're, okay, that's, no more questions.
All right, Alderwoman Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this the same position we just discussed possibly cutting?
Yes. It is. So out in the hall, during the break,
Good night, nurse.
no, well, let's see.
Just wanna make sure we're on the same page.
So, yes, I propose that we cut it because I didn't feel we need it. The majority of, first, and it didn't go through anyway because everybody felt opposite of me. In the hall, I'm always open to listen to what people have to say. They said, look, we need this position, we don't even pay enough to attract somebody. I said, well, then what do you guys propose we do? The majority of the people that talked to me out in the hall felt that we should do this. These are proposals. If you don't like it, vote against it. If you like it, vote
Got it.
for it.
I gotta talk to you more in the hallway. You know, it was that easy. The total salary would then be, what's the,
Be
49.
closer- Yeah, 49,000.
as opposed, it was,
Well, it's 30,000 in the budget now.
oh, it was 30,000 and this adds 24.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
I have the clerk here if you have any questions about the position. If anyone have questions,
He
Alderman
was
Spencer?
probably the bigger influence as to why, because I sat down and asked him, why shouldn't we just cut it? And he explained how important that position
Well,
is. and
maybe
why
he
we-
should do
Well, let
this.
him
Thank
take, if you would, if you
Sure.
will, give some clarity to the
I'm
situation.
familiar with the situation
Okay.
and the need for it, but if the committee would like to hear it, I'm grateful for your leadership and pushing for this and an increase so we can get somebody and compensate them appropriately. But if the committee would like to hear,
Okay, well, I'll
Sure.
hear as we go around the board if you have no direct response.
so my only question was what the total salary package then for this, what the total offer for salary would be for this position once this increase is put in.
Which position is that?
The
The
legislative.
Legislative
legislative
researcher.
researcher.
They're proposing a 19,258 increase. I believe the salary is currently 30,000.
No, it was originally at that amount.
Okay.
That's just taking it back to what it originally was.
This is putting
The
it,
49 was originally what it was in the budget from my remembrance, and then monies were used for other stuff. And that took it down to
Okay.
30,000.
what page is this on?
Page
Page
two.
2,
Oh, sorry.
in the board, Alderman Park.
Thank you, that's all the
I
questions I have,
have-
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
All right, Alderman Maham, you have any questions of the clerk while we're here? No?
No.
All right, thank you, sir.
I was headed over, set up for that.
Okay,
I do.
you're fine. Excuse me, Mr.
Okay,
Clerk.
wait a minute. Now that you're there, can you explain to me briefly what the legislative researcher is going to do? And we've never had one since I've been here, to my knowledge. We had somebody for,
We did
didn't we,
for a
for a
short
very
period.
short
here about a
period of
year.
time?
And we heard.
And so I just, maybe again, what they do, they work with the lawyer, I assume, our
Well,
board lawyer, or what is the purpose?
Well, the original idea is that you would have an individual that could help with other people in doing research on legislation. Because we didn't have that kind of person, we only had one attorney. So
Right.
the idea was to have an additional person that you could depend upon to look up legislation, to get common trends, to see what's happening in other areas, so that you can be able to compare that information and then give it to the attorney to actually draft. When they got a person, this person also had a law degree, and so that would help. And that was part of the idea, so they too can help with the drafting of legislation. With only one attorney for 28 people, that's not really reasonable. But this is a legislative branch.
29, don't count the president.
29 was great.
So we're thinking we would get a young attorney for 50 grand, basically.
Basically,
Okay,
yes.
okay.
All right. So we are, Alderman Oldenburg, any questions? of the
No
clerk?
questions.
Okay. Alderman Boyd?
No.
Okay. Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions of the clerk?
No question.
All right. And I have none either, so clerk, you are excused.
Thank you.
Please stay close though.
His office is right there.
All right. With no further discussion, we will take what is amendment number 4. And we need someone to, she's making copies, she'll be right back.
Okay.
She's making, it's just the copy machine.
I'll go grab her.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Okay.
You can't.
Todd, I want some ice cream in about an hour.
Okay.
Okay. Ted
See how-
Drews
see how we do it in
preferably.
this hour. Do you have music? It's all results of
Yeah.
that special events office, right?
All right,
That's
Sharita,
who we can blame, huh?
we will be entertaining a motion for amendment number 4.
Make a motion.
Second.
Amendment number 4.
Okay, roll call.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Valmer,
Aye.
10 aye votes.
All right, we passed amendment number 4 out. We will now move on to what is amendment number 5 on page 214 in regard to the fire department. Line item 5237147 and 563,700. We're talking about, for the first line item, breathing equipment, $70,000. For the second line item, $40,000 for a total increase of $110,000. Alderman Vaccaro, you're the sponsor.
Yeah, so, originally, the firefighters were asking for $360-something. I talked to Al from the firefighters and said, we only got $1 million to play with. If we can get you by with what you feel is the most important, what can we get you by with? So instead of asking for $300,000, trying to leave money open out of that $1 million, we're asking, well, I'm proposing we give them $110,000, which covers the safety of the firefighters going into a burning building, it's their breathe, how they can breathe. And $40,000, which is for, I have to look how it's worded. Which, health and safety, which they can use to supplement some of the medicines.
You're talking about the Narcan?
Narcan.
All right. Alderman Davis, any questions of the sponsor?
No, I wanted to, give thanks to the fire department and having consideration to our budget, dilemmas. And, you know, some people just refuse to budge, but, they found a way to make this work for everybody. Thank you.
All right. Alderwoman Hubbard.
I definitely support this. I know for some time, we've had firefighters operating with antiquated breathing apparatuses, and that's shameful of our city, to have our first responders in doing that type of stuff, so I definitely support this.
2 of them died because of that, and we were sued and we lost.
What year was that?
2002.
First question.
2002, it was the same day my mom died, that's correct. It was Martin, it was an officer,
Another member.
Martin and an officer.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, firefighter, Martin and Morrison.
Okay, any further questions of the sponsor? Alderman Hubbard, no, we are moving on to Alderwoman Murphy.
No questions. I think it's needed. I'm glad we found a way. Thank you.
All right. Alderwoman Spencer, any questions of the sponsor?
No, I commend the fire department as well.
Okay.
This is,
Alderwoman Spencer, we go to Alderman Muhammad, any questions of the sponsor?
Great job, Alderman. No questions, Mr. Chair.
All right, Alderman Oldenburg.
No questions.
Alderwoman Boyd. Not present at the moment. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
No question.
All right, and I neither. With that, we'll entertain a motion to pass amendment number 5.
I'll make a motion to pass number 5
Second.
second.
in previous role, if we can do it.
Previous roll, any objection to previous roll? Hearing none, we pass out amendment 5. We now move on to amendment number 6.
So we're,
That would be the Board of Alderman Recorder, line item 5101000, page 2. Now, the salary is $45,000, is this, am I reading this correctly? We're increasing it 19 with benefits, or this is not written out properly?
19 is
I
the
gotta find the right-
benefits.
19 is the benefits.
This is a new
It
position.
is, no, we're not on the right one.
Number 6,
Yes, we are.
number 6 is the recorder.
Right, I'm trying to find it in front of me, so this is a position that we don't currently have, and once again, and it's really up to everybody, but once again, in talking to Terry, our clerk, and people in the hall, they felt that this recorder position would be helpful in make sure the minutes of the meeting and everything is put in properly into the journal. So it's a position that doesn't exist. It's a position that would pay $45,000.
This position is being created, so it's not.
Created,
Okay.
yes.
But it's gonna end up being 64.
I'm kind of curious. I wasn't the one that actually wrote this in.
Well, your co-sponsor would like to
I
handle
know, I
it?
understand, but I would think the benefits are not correct. It couldn't be $19,000 on a $45,000 benefit. So I probably need to get a correction of what the benefits would be on $45,000. So I want to, if I get a minute, just like to make a quick correction.
All right.
Well, benefits are too high. Your
So once
benefits
again,
are
this is
too
the
high.
position, does not exist, we're creating position of
Creating, and
recorder.
it's up to everybody, yes or no. I mean, I'm indifferent, but I do gotta get the right benefit. I apologize.
So as we are attaining that information, can we still move forward?
We can move forward to number 7.
You wanna-
No,
No?
You
yeah.
want me to ask questions about this?
We can come back, while you're getting the information, we'll table this for the moment.
We haven't got to that yet.
Would be thankful.
Oh, we'll make one.
Okay. While they're discussing that, and please discuss it quietly over there, we'll go to amendment number 7. This is introduced by Alderwoman Boyd. This is in regard to the Excise Commission adding 2 employees with a total increase to the budget of $202,359. Alderwoman Boyd, you have the floor.
This is my question, because now my question is,
Then it is correct.
So we give it to Gerard and make copies for everyone. And we'll
it's
number
too
it.
much.
Huh?
It's too much.
Okay, I'm amazed.
Question.
Yes.
The amount that I'm asking to be put into the excise commission, that was what we were talking about, the special events, and we're not talking about taking that out of special events, so do we have enough dollars to do that?
Currently with what we proposed as far as the decreases this morning, we're at let me get my little calculator. We're at 1.140 million, with the 2 things we proposed and passed, we're at $1,005,768. So currently, yes, we have excess, we have money to do this with, yes.
Okay, that's what I
You're-
didn't
you're-
want to.
to add the 2 employees to the
But it's-
excise.
It's dire need, he needs that help and the staffing to do what he needs to do.
Okay,
So that's why I was asking for that increase.
all right, no problem. Alderman Davis, have any questions of the sponsor?
No, I think it's needed, it was needed 8 years ago.
Okay. Move on. Alderman Vaccaro, any questions of the sponsor?
No questions.
All right, Alderwoman Hubbard,
No questions.
Alderman Murphy,
No questions.
Alderwoman Spencer,
No questions.
Alderman Muhammad.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What employees is, this is hiring 2 additional employees in the
For the
liquor
excise
division.
commission.
To do what though?
They didn't have enough staff. He was understaffed in the beginning. He never had enough staff to do what he needed to do. He has how many inspectors?
2 or
Two.
1?
Two.
I think it's only one now.
Yeah, probably
Yeah.
just 1.
So he, for the whole city, and so that's why I was looking to add people to him, because we have, as you know, in your ward, we have a lot of people that need liquor license.
Oh, no, no. In the 21st ward, we have the lowest amount of liquor licenses, only 7.
So that's why I was saying, and then with the increase in events that we have, with the special events, the excise commission gets hit harder.
Absolutely. Great amendment. Thank you,
All right.
Alderman. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Oldenburg, any questions of the sponsor?
No questions.
Alderman Boyd, your bill. Alderman Clark Hubbard is not present. I have no questions of the sponsor. With that, we'll entertain a motion to pass out Amendment 7.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to pass out amendment number 7.
Second.
Previous roll.
Previous roll?
Oh,
Hearing,
we got
Previous-
somebody else.
No, she's
Oh.
okay.
no objections to previous roll?
No, she said
All right.
no objection.
Okay.
No objections. We pass out Amendment 7 with a due
Gave
pass
the excise
recommendation.
commissioner 2 more employees.
Joe, I'm ready.
Are you ready? We'll go back to revisit
Yeah, so far.
number 6.
Here's the,
We're back on number 6, which is the recorder for the Board of Aldermen to create a new position and get the salary and benefits straight here.
so, no, it's straight, amazingly enough.
That's
The
the
benefits are $19,000 on a $45,000 salary.
I'm gonna allow this stuff.
We have Paul Payne here, our town, that could explain, but they just explained, I'm kind of amazed. Paul, can you go ahead and do it? Yeah, can you, Paul explain why.
All right, Mr. Payne, please take the hot seat. Thank you.
And here's,
I'll let Mr. Payne take over. So we're creating a new position. So the base salary is $45,000, and you're going to, is that
Yeah,
correct?
if you're trying to fund all the benefits, you're talking about a 25.8% just on the percentage of salary, plus health insurance, which is $7,640 for every full-time position. So that's where you end up with the additional $96,000 for the $45,000 position.
Okay.
I was amazed.
Wow.
All right.
Here's my thought, with just what everybody
Yes. I am so
We can either vote on this or wait till last to see if there's any money left and if there's enough to fund it at the end. You know, Johnson's like, we'll vote on it. That's fine. John, so would you like to vote?
Would you like to hold this till the end, Alderman, is what you're saying?
I'm co-sponsor and my co-sponsor.
Okay,
Mr. Chairman, if you, so this amendment is adding a position of recorder.
that's
to
correct, creating a
assist-
new position.
Right, looking at other models in other cities, particularly San Francisco, who is a unified city and county government, something similar to St. Louis. This position is vital to their government efficiency as it relates to their let's say the body. After talking with the clerk and also conversing with the president's chief of staff, it is no question that this position is vital to ensuring efficiency and productivity at this particular board. Something that I'm sure every alderman would agree that we need. We know we have a great clerk doing a fantastic job, but there's only so much he can do, him and his staff. Adding this position would definitely help out. I would like to see that we vote on this now.
Okay, well, Alderman Davis will entertain questions of the sponsors.
Okay, so, one of the concerns I have, and the reason I could support this, I don't know how many of you all realize how delinquent our system is online. Bills that were passed a year ago still haven't been recorded. The City Journal is not up to date all the time. And that looks bad on behalf of a city. No one can actually look at us. And even when people are doing market research, they want to see what bills have been passed recently that support whatever it is they're trying to do. And we don't have our system up to date. Our information doesn't even get changed, so we're not even up to date on that, the alderpersons. So we do need a recorder to handle all of this.
Our clerk, I mean, he talked about this, and our clerk
Mhm.
did say it's important to him because he's trying to get everything put where it needs to be, and, you know, he doing the best he can with what he's got to work with, but, and that's why this was brought up.
Yeah, there's a lot that needs to be done, and I appreciate the clerk even thinking about this to get us up to par, because it's just sad to look like that as a government body. So I thank you all for this.
All right, we move to Alderman Hubbard. Any questions of the sponsor?
No questions.
Okay, we go to Alderman Murphy.
No question.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Doesn't matter.
I have no question, this is the same, is this the same position we were trying,
No, this is creating a whole new one, which would
This
be
is our second
a
one.
recording secretary, someone that would actually record minutes and make sure they get, my understanding, if we ask the clerk to come in, he could better explain
Well,
that.
okay, within the Board of Aldermen.
Right.
Mhm, Mr. Ross,
Board of
yeah.
Aldermen.
I understand, okay,
Yeah.
thank you, that's all I have.
Okay. Alderman Oldenburg, any questions?
No.
Okay. Alderwoman Boyd, any questions of the sponsors? Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions of the sponsors?
No.
Okay, I have no questions. With that, we'll entertain a motion to pass out amendment number 6.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to pass out amendment number 6.
And I'll second it, and this for previous role, Carol's.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, we pass out amendment 6 with a 2-pass recommendation. We will move to amendment number 8. Amendment number 8 is on page 31, the budget division, and increase to the deputy director's salary, 80,000 plus benefits to a total of 108,000. This is introduced by Alderman Mohammed. And we will take the sponsor, Alderman Mohammed, please move forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, our director did not know about this. This is something that we briefly talked about last committee hearing. The budget, you let me handle this? Yeah. Come on, Todd, sit right here. The budget division is almost like every important or vital office in our city is always underfunded. He is responsible for getting out the budget, which we all know is a tedious process. If you had a deputy director to aid and assist him in the budget analysis, that would greatly improve the efficiency of getting our budget on a timely manner. Previously, Paul was the deputy director until that position was cut by the Board of Aldermen some years ago, or not, well, but cut by ENA, I believe, some years ago.
It was cut by ENA,
Not the Board of Aldermen, right. Cut by ENA some years ago. Since then, he has been doing 2 dual roles, and I think something as vital as our city's operating records as it relates to finances, we need to have, we need to make sure that he is fully staffed with this position as well. Something he does not have, I think he has a total staff of 5, is that it? A total staff of 5, operating almost a $1.1 million budget. 1.1 billion, excuse me, 1.1 billion. I'm thinking about the 1 million we just cut from police overtime, that's all. $1.1 billion budget, he needs a deputy director. We set the base at $80,000, plus the benefits, it will be, no, that's not it.
In front of us?
I'm sorry, I was just asking what you looking for.
No, we got it. We passed
That's
it out.
okay.
We passed it out.
It's roughly 102, there we go.
It-
It'll be $108,000
Right.
plus the benefits, fringes.
So is what we're talking about a
Talking about
28,
adding a position.
28,
Well, with the benefits,
With the benefits, it's
It'll be
108,000.
100.
Yes, 108 with that.
108,204. The base salary is 80,000.
okay. With that, we'll go to questions, Alderman Davis? Questions?
I don't have any questions. I'm just looking at Paul over there.
Okay, no questions. We'll go to Alderman Vaccaro.
I actually do, not so much about this. Where are we at on what we have left to spend?
Around 800,000.
And I know that they want 300,000 for inspectors. I'm just trying to get an idea how much we're looking. And then wasn't there a safe initiative that these guys wanted to do? So if
Cure drugs.
If we do this, it's gonna get us down.
Cure
Cure
violence.
violence. I mean, if we do this, it's gonna cut us down to about 600 and something. If we do the
Still be good.
inspectors, down to about 300. I'm just trying to do the math. I'm fine with it. I just,
Currently, before this, we're at $803,409 currently.
For this.
and after this, we'll have a little.
Well, you subtract one away from this.
Yeah.
600. 600.
And we're at 108,204. Put you 695,205 if this would pass out.
Okay, and Vice Chairman, you feel we're good to go?
Madam Vice, you had a question of you.
Sir, I'm
You think
sorry.
even after this, we're good to go with what everybody else had in mind?
Yeah, he said 800. Yeah,
This will put us down to 700.
yeah, so that's
695.
good.
And I'm fine.
Okay. All right, Alderwoman Hubbard, any questions of the sponsor?
No questions, but I'll make a comment. I think, this would be good, we definitely need that, added support over there when we're dealing with something as crucial as our budget, but at the same time too, I wanna make sure we paying attention to the numbers, because I still have that Windows 7 stuck in my head, and we need to assist the circuit attorney's office with that. We need to prioritize where we allocate money, so, no other comments.
All right. Alderwoman Murphy, any questions?
No questions.
Okay, Alderwoman Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question would just be to the budget director, if you could describe whether or not this is appropriate in, as far as a salary.
Well, would you
and
mind taking a seat
whether or
for
not
the
this-
camera?
Since you didn't typically, since you didn't know this was coming, maybe you could describe how important this would be to your office and your function?
I would say it's probably a fair statement that eventually we need a deputy at some point. I did not request it, and it obviously was not budgeted for that. I haven't actually seen the amendment, so I'm not familiar with what the salary is. It is a civil service position, so it would be determined by whatever the grade and code established by the Civil Service Commission is.
So is this salary maybe not correct, is what we're?
Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
don't know without actually looking it up. It's been now, the alderman was correct, and 11 years ago, I was the previous
Sure.
deputy, and I hadn't replaced myself. so
Okay,
that's-
is there any way of getting information before we pass out something that might not have the correct information on it?
Well, there's a range established for
Okay.
any position,
Okay.
and it depends on when you fill it.
And that's probably the
So,
bottom of the range there.
Yeah, so that's probably, you're probably correct on that.
So you feel that this is, okay,
Starting
From a dollar amount, you're probably somewhere in that ballpark.
yes, sir, all right, thank you.
In terms of the use of the, yeah, sure, every department could use an additional position, and I think that it would, but again, it was not something that requested it.
Are you feeling it's not necessary, would be a good question right now.
I would say if you have the funds available, it's something that may be funded. If there are other priorities, I would not have requested.
Okay, all right. We were on Alderwoman Spencer, sorry to interrupt you.
I just wanted to hear from the
Okay.
budget director how this would impact his office and the importance of adding this. to the budget.
I would think over in the long term, there is a concern about institutional knowledge and lack of institutional knowledge for among people, particularly in the small office. Having said that, I was not contemplating adding a position such as this to the office this coming year. So, I mean, eventually I would have to, I think, but I mean, it gives you a certain flexibility in planning whether or not to add it or not, but it was not something I had contemplated.
Okay.
Time.
Does your office run okay without it, or,
I think there's a certain, I wouldn't be forthright if I said there's a certain vulnerability on the institutional knowledge in the office right now. But how we address, it's a matter of thinking out where the greatest need is in the office, whether it's from just the technical capabilities of putting these documents together every year. So if we lose our computer expertise on that, we're vulnerable. Or just getting a staff that has the knowledge to carry forward going on. So that you're not over-reliant on a restricted number of individuals. So I think there ultimately is a need. I don't know necessarily would have been FY20, but I don't know if there's a yes or no right or wrong answer on that, but.
I don't know that there's a yes or no or right or wrong answer either. I guess, what I'm looking for from the budget director or from
Sure.
the department head, a lot of the directors come with requests for specific ways to improve their departments and looking to you for your request on how to best improve. Because I think the alderman from the 21st is right. We need to make sure that you have what you need. And given that, this maybe wasn't directed by you, rather, asking you to share with us what the most important pressing need for your office would be, what that would look
Sure.
like, and how we could possibly.
I think the greatest vulnerabilities right now are mostly on the IT side. As you know, when we were trying to look at the accounting system and all that, budget was gonna be a part of that. And then, so there was gonna be a way for transitioning from our existing system, which is sort of an in-house built system, which we've done actually yeoman's work making that work without paying exorbitant amounts for some outside agency. But we were supposed to transition to a new system. Now that was delayed, but now it is going forward, but that's gonna be probably a year, maybe two down the road before we start transitioning out. I would say that's a bit of a concern that I have in terms of making sure that we can continue to maintain what we've got from an IT standpoint. But to the extent additional personnel that would help with that would be good. I don't know necessarily whether that would be where I'd be focusing or not, but I do think we are a small staff, so any assistance is a plus.
Appreciate the answer, Mr. Chairman. Are we gonna be entertaining amendments beyond today, or is?
Well, there's a kind of a timeline. We're trying to knock this out today. We were planning to have a meeting tomorrow. If we can get this done today, because of the timing, they'll have to call emergency board of E&A for Thursday, because currently it would be on the 9th. We have to get it knocked out so we can get this bill out on time. So we're hoping, as we sit here, amendments keep pouring in.
Yeah.
That weren't here before. We thought we only had 4, now we have an additional 5. We'll pass that around. There's another one, this is number 11 coming around, so. The question is, this came up today, that we have a director saying it could be useful, but not necessary, so, that's what I hear. At this point, we'll go around for further questions before we take a vote on it. If you're, any further comments or questions, Alderman Spencer?
No, thank
All
you,
right,
Mr.
thank
Chairman.
you. Alderman Mohammed, you are the sponsor, so we'll let you go. Alderman Oldenburg, any questions?
I don't.
Okay. All right, Alderman Boyd.
You are just so humble. No questions.
All right, Alderman Clark Hubbard, any questions of this director? Okay. All right, so am I correct in assuming, Paul, that it'd be great to have, but it's not, what I hear is not a priority, not something that's up here?
Well, I mean, it's something I have in my mind.
Okay.
But it's not obviously, since I didn't propose it in here, it
Sure.
wasn't something that I had contemplated.
So it's something we definitely should put on the horizon for next year.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay.
So we're not gonna vote on it.
Is that something, just quickly, was that something that you would ever propose yourself? Because I don't ever see you doing
He just said definitely for next year.
Wait,
He would never,
He
like
wouldn't.
next year, year after,
okay, well, we'd like, hearing that from the office, Alderman Mohammed, would you like to carry on with this or table this motion? Saying that, we have the office saying that maybe this is better served for the city for next year?
Next year.
Or we can vote on it.
Totally. I defer to the committee.
I asked the real boss, what you think? I defer to next year, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll then take off the books amendment number 8. We'll move to amendment number 9. We're on page 235. This is the building division. Fund 1116, $300,000 proposed increase to facilitate door-to-door crews in the building division. And the sponsor, Alderwoman Spencer and Howard. As Alderwoman Howard is not here. Alderwoman Spencer, your show.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This amendment will provide funding for some proactive building code enforcement. What we'll do is put this into the building division, and they'll hire a separate crew. This would be on top of our existing building and code enforcement team that is directed by ward. So right now, every ward has 2 building code inspectors, building inspectors, or at least they should. Some of them are missing. But what those folks do is respond to requests for occupancy, and they respond to CSB requests for building code violations. We do not have anybody going around proactively looking for building code violations, and in neighborhoods like the neighborhoods I represent, the 20th Ward, there are so many building code violations that go unturned in, and neighbors get tired of having to turn them in. So there are some blocks on which the majority of properties have building code violations, and they're not being dealt with. These are primarily owned by out-of-state real estate investors and absentee landlords who have tenants who are afraid to turn in code violations and that sort of thing. So this would be a proactive way of dealing with blight in our communities. We're gonna focus on making sure that we are dealing with the vacancy first and foremost. But again, there's a lot of absentee property owners that are not taking care of their properties. They're falling down. They are posing a huge risk to our fire department, and they are a huge public safety concern. So with that, this is a program that we had in place several years ago. It worked well. It was cut from the budget, and this amendment would put that back in place. According to the building commissioner, the purpose of this is not at all to be punishing, but it's rather to issue warnings first and foremost, to communicate with property owners. He indicated that the revenue would be close to $50,000, perhaps a little bit more, but we're not trying to drive a lot of revenue here. What we're trying to do is get buildings in compliance and encourage those property owners who are not doing anything with their buildings to move on, sell them, etc., and to get them back into useful condition.
Okay. All right, with that, Alderwoman Davis, any questions of the sponsor?
Oh, I don't think so.
None? Okay. Alderman Vaccaro?
I don't have much issue with it, but how many LRA properties you got that you can write them up all day long and they don't do anything?
I know.
They don't even write them up, so start there.
You're right. I think this is an excellent point. LRA, under SLDC, which is not actually St. Louis City property, but under SLDC, which is a point that we need to consider as a Board of Aldermen, how that's arranged. Nonetheless, there are around 10,000 properties currently owned by LRA, but the vast majority of vacancy within the city limits are privately owned. Many, I don't have the figures, but I know by looking at the vacant buildings in my ward, the vast majority of those privately owned are outside of they're owned by people outside the city of St. Louis. They have P.O. boxes. They're very hard to find. It's hard right now to track them down and to deal with them. And the property taxes in a lot of our really blighted neighborhoods like mine are so low that it really is not an incentive to sell or do anything. People are sitting on these properties for years and years at a time, barely paying the taxes, and certainly not doing anything to keep the properties up. So going after the building code violations will be an incentive to fix it up or move along.
That's fine, I mean, it's certainly, I think we got 3. in the 23rd ward. and
Well,
there will be two.
congratulations, we
Yeah.
have
Boy,
I
really,
know.
Joe.
30% of the
Seriously.
housing units in my ward are vacant, currently
I know.
speaking, and it is a major,
We're
major,
lucky,
major
that's why
problem.
I'm fine with this. It's something I don't, it's something that I don't particularly are with, no problem,
Yeah.
but I certainly support it.
All right, thank you very much. Alderwoman Hubbard, any questions of the sponsor?
No question.
All right, Alderwoman Murphy.
No, I'm in favor of it. My ward could certainly use regular inspections on I would love it on a regular basis, especially if they would follow through with the, make sure the fines are paid or moved on to the next step. You know, if they're not paid, stay with it. I understand that's the courts, but they need to be pushed through on a regular basis. And, you know, so it does get to the courts as soon as possible. So we don't have, you know, one or two bad houses can blight a whole block. I mean, I have people complaining all the time.
All right,
I
thank
have
you.
3 vacant houses just on my block.
Yeah.
Ward.
All right. Alderman Mohammed, any questions of the sponsor?
No question, Mr.
All
Chairman.
right, thank you. Alderman Oldenburg.
Nope, I think we've talked about this one in the days.
All right,
leading
Alderwoman
up.
Boyd.
No questions.
Alderman Clark Hubbard.
No questions.
All right, I have no questions. Hearing that, we'll entertain a motion to pass out amendment number 9.
Joe makes the motion, I'll second it.
All right,
This roll.
previous roll.
Objection.
Objection, previous roll. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
No.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Hubbard,
No.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
No.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
No.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
No.
Chairman Varner,
Aye.
5 aye votes and 5 no votes.
Change mine to a no rather than a tie.
Okay, Alderman Vaccaro has requested his vote be turned to a no.
And then that takes away the tie.
Okay.
Because the tie doesn't go anywhere.
Okay, we've failed to pass out board bill number 9.
Well, that's true. It would have failed either way.
I don't know
The
what
tie
it
vote failed.
She's
So it
taken
doesn't look like-
Okay.
We had to call it one.
With that, we will move on to amendment number 10,
She was taken.
page 122 in your playbooks. Introduced by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. Line item 5234000, computer and tech supplies. Currently is at 15,000 to be raised to 215,000, is that correct? All right. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, you're on.
This is just what we talked about before, what they need to improve their computer systems in their office, to upgrade them from the Windows 7, and we have representation from the office here if you would like to entertain any questions.
All right. Alderwoman Davis, any questions of the sponsor or her representatives?
I would like a representative to come forward because I believe this is what we talked about the other day when it would affect them having the ability to interact with all the federal agencies. If I'm right, I don't know.
Alderman Muhammad, would you mind taking
Yes,
taking
yes.
seats of the reps from the circuit attorney's office?
I would. No, Chief Staff, this is all you.
Proceed, please.
So is this when we were talking about Regis and all the other things, and you're currently trying to deal with Microsoft 7, which we know doesn't match with anybody anymore, is that the same topic for these items?
Yes.
Okay. Can you elaborate any more on that, please?
Yes, basically, if we're not able to update from Windows 7 to Windows 10, we will not be able to communicate with the FBI, Regis, CGIS, and all those other law enforcement entities. And they're telling us that it will not effective in January of 2020.
And that's this coming January, so, okay. Anything else? All right, thank you.
All right, Alderman Carl, any questions?
Yeah,
If
I
you-
do have a question.
Can we do two, mine things till we go around?
So, is my understanding, and but you had money last year to upgrade, and I thought you already did upgrade.
We did do,
And so I believe Alderman, John Mohammed spoke to that at the last, meeting where that money was in fact used. However, it doesn't, it did not cover the cost of ongoing maintenance and the additional upgrades that we need to
Okay,
have.
so you've already upgraded from 7.
No, we're still at 7.
Well, then what did you upgrade? I guess I'm confused.
We had, what we actually heard was a computer system that had not been upgraded for over 12 years. So we have controllers that are going down, servers that are going down. So we're even trying to buy laptops so our attorneys could have laptops. We're just in it's an antiquated system. We're just trying to bring it up into the 20th century, 21st century.
And the current state is at Windows 7.
I don't know. I'm fine, I just,
All right,
I don't know where I'm at.
okay. Alderman Hubbard.
No questions, just a comment like I stated before. It looks bad as a city when we are operating with Windows 7 and you can't even effectively do your job with the old computers system like that. I mean, that's just horrible. That should be minimal. I don't know what that total amount is, but I think that we definitely need to address it, so I'll definitely be supporting this.
All right, thank you. Alderman Murphy.
You forgot Alderman.
Oh, I'm sorry, Alderman Howard.
I have no.
Okay.
So the total number we're asking is what? 215, 215?
200,000 is the total increase, it's going from 15,000 to
To
200.
250,000. And there was no other money in the budget for upgrade or anything, just that 15,000?
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
And now we do have the 300,000. Isn't that
Well, currently,
convenient
what
from
we,
the door
what
to
we
door?
proposed,
Yeah.
there are $803,409 that we have sitting in our pot that, of our proposal of cuts this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, there is currently 803 remaining of what we proposed this morning.
Okay, no more questions.
Okay, and we go to Alderwoman Spencer. Oh, she left?
She's done right now.
All right. Alderman Mohammed, you are in the room. There you are, sir. Go
No
ahead.
questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Alderman Oldenburg.
So, did you originally budget, did that office, the Circuit Attorney's Office originally budget for, was this a request to go to $215,000 for this? Or is this was the request even higher? What was the total request for this technology?
200,000.
It was $200,000. Okay. Well, I really don't have any more questions for Circuit Attorney's Office. I mean, I think this committee knows possibly where I stand on this. I feel like if this expense is so important, it can be prioritized within existing budgets. We ask other departments to do that. This is an amendment that I don't think I can support.
All right, thank you, sir. Alderwoman Boyd.
No question.
All right, and we go to me. I have no questions.
Judge, can I ask one?
Or Carl, if you have further, yes?
Just, I mean, so what prevents them from spending this on something other than the upgrade? I don't disagree if it has to be an upgrade to make the office safe. I don't have an issue with it, but what guarantee do we have? Or is this, and maybe someone can answer this, if this is going only into that, can it only be used for that?
Alderwoman Davis.
Well, it will quickly be known right after the first of the year, because all news media will let the world know that we had a circuit attorney's office that could not interact with any other federal agency, nevertheless review and get information from Regis. So it would be quickly known if it wasn't done.
No, but what I'm asking, is this money, what I'm asking.
You want to earmark it?
Right, that can only be
We could do
used
that.
to upgrade the computers,
Yeah,
and then I'm fine.
yeah.
I just don't want it to go in the budget and then next year.
No, not, and it
Or
has to
saying,
be,
gee, you know,
that's why we got a computer and tech supplies.
can it-
Earmark it.
Can it go only for that?
Mhm.
If it can only go for that, I'm fine.
All right, and no further comment or questions. Entertain a motion on amendment number 10.
So
So moved.
Second.
Objection.
Second.
Is there any previous rule?
Okay, roll call, Sharita.
Alderwoman Davis,
Aye.
Alderman Vaccaro, Alderwoman Howard,
No.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer, Alderman Muhammad.
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, Spencer is a no.
What you got here?
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderman Oldenburg,
No.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Valmer,
No.
7 aye votes and 4 no votes.
Okay, hearing that, Board Bill Amendment 10 has passed out. We do pass. We're on our final amendment, which is number 11. On page 210, Public Safety, 5646000, Cure Violence, an increase proposed from $0 to $500,000. And with that, we will hear from the sponsor, Alderwoman Davis.
As I had reported back to this committee, and also I will report back to Public Safety Committee when they have their next meeting, this is one of the major concerns that we have as far as assisting to abate crime in the city of St. Louis. Cure Violence has been accepted by many entities in the city, and it's one of the few things that most people are agreeing upon. We know that we need to assist the police. We know that we need to find a way to change the culture on the streets of the city of St. Louis. We also know that within Cure Violence, it also deals with what we consider to be crime to be a public health issue as well. So it's not just crime. It's gonna deal with health, education, all kinds of things that community engagement that's gonna make a difference in this city. It is proven to help abate crime as much as 50% in 1 year. And it also has the ability to help have an ongoing, definitive way to proceed with community engagement. So at the end of the day, it's not anything that is pie in the sky, I'll put it that way. It's proven. And I was very impressed with the public speaking out. They came prepared. They've done their research. They are committed. Because you see, if the community is not committed, this won't work either. But they are committed. And I've had the opportunity since that public hearing to speak with a number of other leading organizations in the city of St. Louis. They are also willing to support this initiative as well, with additional resources coming from their agencies. So when you look at something that is that much desired by community, we need to move it forward, and we most especially need to be able to provide the assistance to the police department. There's nothing else to say. They can't do this job by themselves. It just won't happen. And they know that, they understand that, and I don't have anything else to say.
All right, with that, we'll open the questions. Alderman Vaccaro, questions of the sponsor.
How much money do we have left?
Well, currently.
Siri, tell us.
Siri
She's
knows.
gonna tell you,
A little over $600,000, $603,000.
The reason I ask is, and I was asked, and I think I will, I'm gonna do on the other amendment on the building inspectors. I just wanna run that by one more time.
Well, we have to wait till we're finished with this at
I
this
know,
time, sir.
no, it makes
And
sense.
I have been informed and trying to keep in contact. We don't have to balance out. We can ask for more money than we've actually allotted for here.
Okay, good.
So this is not to the penny where
Okay,
we're acting like we're the two actors in the movie Dave, where they sat and cut the budget
That's fine.
overnight with a bowl of bratwurst.
And is it the police department who runs?
Who runs Cure Violence? I would ask the sponsor to talk.
Yeah, who's gonna have it?
Run by the police department.
I passed out the flyer to everybody last time.
I know.
I see, yeah, but don't put that in my head right now, because I was thinking about something else. So
What are you looking for?
I'm trying to think. what he wants me to say.
No, I-
Who's gonna be?
Who runs,
No, he wants to know who's gonna run it.
It's going into public safety where it belongs, because it has to work in tandem with the police department.
I mean, so it's a program already exists.
It should go under the public safety budget.
He said, does it already
There's a
exist?
program.
No, it doesn't
No,
exist,
that's
that's
why
why it's going from zero
Zero.
to
The
the
amendment is
500,000.
asking
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Joe, no further questions?
No.
Alderman Carl, thank you very much. Alderman Howard, any questions of the sponsor?
I guess the same question, where will this be managed, or is this an outside agency that will get the funding and that?
It will be managed by the Public Safety Department under Judge Jimmy Edwards. The entity that will come in and help us train for this and help us set the structure up will be under Judge Jimmy Edwards with the Public Safety Department. They will have to work in tandem with the Public Safety Department.
So is Cure Violence a non-for-profit, or who are these people? I guess that's what my question is, who are they and what are their qualifications?
Their qualifications is an entity that has provided this opportunity and training that was established some number of years ago, that has operated in probably, what I covered was about 11 major cities. And they set up a structure. So there's an identified area that you work in, like a community.
Sort of like the police chiefs.
Yeah, identified area.
Okay.
You go in and train the residents. The police will get a certain kind of training. They will help you with the advertisement. They will also help you with gaining the acceptance and support of other resources from the entities that you need, like social service agencies, hospitals, and on and on and on. Because it really is a public issue on every level.
I guess, do we, is this a national agency?
Absolutely. And what I can do for you is I see that we still have a very passionate resident who's sitting here, who was, every resident that came up and spoke had done their own work. Would you like to speak on that, please?
No, he's not a resident.
No, he's not.
He don't live in the
He
city.
doesn't live in the city.
I know, but when I say resident, because I see him helping with every initiative that we do in the city. That's what I meant.
I just.
And if you don't, and we do have people who come and speak before us that do not live in the city, that work for different agencies. So, on Cure Violence, he has more information on Cure Violence. So you don't have to live in the city to speak to us.
I heard him.
And
That's okay.
He works for Cure Violence, he's a member or worked with them, or what is his position? Does he have a position with Cure Violence?
he supports the,
Supports the effort.
supports the initiative.
Okay. Well, I think any direct information would have to come
From Cure Violence.
from Cure Violence for the record.
And I don't have any issues with that.
Okay, all right.
I've also talked with Judge Edwards. He supports Cure Violence. He supports putting money to it, and we'll be saying that publicly along with the mayor.
Okay. Any further questions, Alderman Carl?
No,
All
I
right.
wasn't, I wasn't the one.
Oh, Alderman Howard, I'm sorry.
No,
Oh,
Wait a
Alderman,
minute.
no, you're not up yet. Alderman Howard has the floor.
I just said Muhammad, I apologize, Mr. Chairman.
And I guess we're going to fund them at $500,000, and what are we getting for that? I'm just kind of like this, maybe I should have done more homework, I wasn't sure this was coming up today, but what are we getting for the $500,000?
I am not gonna sit here and act as though I know specifically all those items. Absolutely not.
Okay. Would it be okay to kind of, can we get more information at some point, or?
Well, we've been talking about Cure Violence here at the Board of Aldermen, on the city level overall, on a regional level. We've been talking about Cure Violence for over a year.
Well, we've been talking about ceasefire, cure
Yeah.
violence, I mean,
They're
there's
all-
been so
they're-
many programs.
The structure is,
And I'm just,
yeah. But we've been talking about it for about a year, and the conclusion was that Cure Violence has more components that are direct engagement with our public safety department and our community. And it gives us an opportunity to do what we consider to be a tier level of community policing. And that's what I believe that the mayor and the judge wanted more than anything else. Ceasefire is more dealing just with guns, and they don't believe that that's gonna help change anything. As we have talked about over and over again, we must change the culture of the community, and that's from the preschool kids all the way through to the criminal that's in the prison. So this is what we're looking at with Cure Violence.
I guess maybe what I'm hearing, there's no budget breakdown of the $500,000.
Actually, what
Is
they.
it the staffing, materials?
I can tell you that they say it takes, for that identified area, community, it takes $250,000 to structure and operate in a neighborhood. The judge is aware of that as well, we've talked about that. And we believe that we need a minimum of 3 to operate at once in the city of St. Louis in order to see a difference. Because you don't want to do one now, one next year, that's not gonna help us. We need to have at least 3 operating in the city of St. Louis
So this
at
would
one time.
identify 3 neighborhoods and
3
operate,
areas.
set up Cure Violence in 3 areas for 500,000?
No, 500,000 would only do 2. And so we'll have to find 250,000. And we believe that we can find the money from the corporate community as well. If I had my brothers, I would do 4 at once. And so, but we believe that we can handle this part of it and get it started with 3.
Any further questions, Alderman?
No, I'm
All right,
finished,
thank you very much. Alderman Hubbard.
No questions, I was just reading some stuff on Cure Violence because I don't know a
Okay.
lot about it, but it says that it's a globally recognized program that takes a public health approach to reducing violence, and they have been a part of the University of Illinois Chicago. So just, it sounds
Harvard,
something
everything, yeah.
like it's very good for
It all comes
the
with it.
city, and
All right,
I definitely support.
okay, thank you. Alderman Murphy.
Just, I guess one question, is this in addition to like the diversion program, or will it work with the diversion program in the circuit attorney's office? Because, you know, they have a diversion program too, you know, not to put people in prison and to do, you know, identify mental health issues and that. So would it work with that, or is it an addition to that?
I can only make an assumption because we're not talking about the specific department other than public safety. Public safety covers most of the areas that we are really concerned about, that really would make a difference and change. Whereas the prosecuting side of it, I really haven't even heard anybody talk about that part of it. We're talking about prevention and intervention.
No more questions.
Thank you, Alderman Murphy. We go to Alderman Spencer, not present at the moment. Alderman Muhammad, any questions of the sponsor?
Theoretically, so 500,000.
Proceed.
Thank you. No, it's fine, Madam Chairwoman. 500,000, is that actually enough to operate this program? And what would be the overall impact as it relates to law enforcement or public safety to communities that have this ongoing stagnation of violence?
Well, the optimum would be $1 million to start. That would be ideal. But we have a budget that we have to deal with and make sure that those things that are primary are handled.
And this will be overseen by Director Edwards?
Yes.
Okay, no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, Alderman Oldenburg, any questions?
I
of
have
the
no
sponsor?
questions.
No questions. Alderman Boyd?
No questions.
All right, Alderman Clark Hubbard?
No question.
All right, I have no questions of the sponsor. With that, we'll entertain a motion. I guess my only question was, I think it was answered. The 500,000 will handle 2 of what you believe are 4 needs for neighborhoods. But there's no set protocol as far as what gets spent. You know, there's no line items as far as, you know,
Well, the line-
100,000 goes for are the employees involved?
There will be some employees
Okay.
involved, but again, everything comes under Judge Edwards.
Okay.
And if he doesn't think it's right, then it's not gonna happen.
I just didn't know if this not-for-profit, there's a salary being paid, that, you know, earnings tax, things like that, or are these salaried employees that?
There will be some staff involved to
Okay.
operate here,
Mhm.
but again, I'm gonna leave it up to the judge.
Sure, sure. I'm
And his
just
staff.
trying to get a basic
Yeah,
function.
right.
Are there materials and functions that they need to buy as far as
Mhm,
office supplies, you talked about all that also?
Right.
Okay.
They help you with your marketing campaigns, all of that. And it works. The way they've structured this, it works.
Okay.
They have the quirky ways of getting people's attention and all of that.
Okay.
And it's something that we've never done well anyway.
All right.
So,
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Vice. We will then entertain a motion for amendment number 11.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to pass out amendment number 11.
A second?
Second.
Previous
All right.
roll.
Any objection to previous roll?
Object.
We have come. So, Sharita, please call the roll.
Yeah, I voted no on the last one.
Alderwoman
Oh, I
Davis,
aye.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Aye. Alderwoman Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
Aye.
Alderman Odenberg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Chairman Ballmer.
Aye.
It's 11 I vote.
All right, that was the last of our proposed amendments. I heard some ranklings. Mr. Alderman Vaccaro, you want to make a motion?
I would have voted on the prevailing side on board bill to add to the building division.
Okay, that was amendment number 9.
I'd like to reconsider the vote,
Okay,
see if we can come up with a, seems important to some and not others, and so I thought maybe we could rediscuss it, and if a tie still loses, but at least.
okay, so we're entertaining a motion to, have a vote,
Reconsider.
Professor, to reconsider amendment 9.
Second.
Second?
I thought you voted no.
He did vote no, but
That was
the
the prevailing
one.
side.
A tie is an automatic loss. So I changed mine so that I know so on the prevailing side.
So are we just gonna discuss it and everybody gonna vote the same?
It could be the same, but I do
So,
want to give it a
I think everybody
Because
probably
there was
gonna
a
vote the
tie
same.
vote to give people a
One
chance.
person,
So I
it's
changed,
extra person in the room.
I changed so that it could be voting on the prevailing side, but a tie fails, so.
We
it
still
just-
got all 200,000.
No, we're down to 103, 409.
103, okay.
Yeah, but as Mr. Payne has stated, we can, our wish list can exceed what we have.
Okay.
It doesn't have to come out to the penny. either way.
Right.
Okay. So, with that, we've, any further discussion?
No, I just, again,
Reconsider.
from my one.
Reconsider.
I have a further
Yes.
concern. So, and I said this before, we currently have regular building inspectors. We also have building inspectors that are on that vacant, whatever that bill is, where we had extra money coming in. And then we have another set of building inspectors that do another task. And so, are they gonna hire some additional building inspectors?
Well, and that's what.
And then we have the other building inspectors, because we have 5 divisions of building inspectors. One for electric, plumbing, So we have 5 other sets of building inspectors that also go out and go into properties. So where, are we gonna hire some, or just realign who does what?
So what I envision, just, and it's your, but what I envision is they hire more, and I'll tell you why. They've cut out, they used to do every third year they did a 30-year watch.
That's mandated by ordinance.
They still don't do it.
They don't do it.
And then they went to every 4 years, a quarter part. And in order to do that, they had to take people from here and there and all over. I would hope, and then, when the sponsor take it, but I would assume it would be to hire at least a couple more, I guess 3 more inspectors, maybe 4, with that kind of money. And I don't know that they have to necessarily be directly tied to only this, but I wouldn't, it would not hurt. And again, my ward, I'm the least to have any complaints. My neighbors tell me on everything. But, it did kinda help, because I know when they were doing, because I get yelled at by people that say, well, they won't be able to have an address and like that, you know, but I do think that adding the extra stuff, I don't know if this does, and I'll let Spencer speak to her own amendment.
Okay.
Did Frank send something down on how he wanted to run this?
I have not heard from,
Well, we did have something.
since, he was down before us. I remember saying
I'm looking.
he would be using, part of my memory says he'd be using current staff.
Oh,
Mr. Chairman, if
Okay.
I may.
Yeah, you got,
if I may.
as sponsor of the board bill, please proceed, Alderwoman.
Or as the sponsor of the amendment, sure. The building commissioner indicated that he would hire a new supervisor along with a
Here.
crew of between 4 and 6 individuals who would be proactive. The Alderwoman
That's
from the
what-
19th
that's what he
commission, we
gave
have
us the
several
other
sets.
day.
We do have, specialty building inspectors that handle, as she mentioned, plumbing, electrical, et cetera. Those are, again, responsive to requests for occupancy. They are not proactive in any way, shape, or form. They don't just show up at your house and ask to see your electrical work. They are responding to permits for upgrades and things of that nature. So that's those are separate crews. The vacancy crew does go around and is looking at vacant buildings, but we are not proactively going around and looking at slumlords, multifamilies. There are a ton of absentee landlords that are not taking care of their properties, and they are people are living in deplorable conditions because building codes are not being met on a very, very regular basis. We did have this function in place several years ago. It is a way of addressing blight by encouraging compliance with building codes by way of warnings, and if they're not addressed, fees and fines. I think that the one concern that I have, which is one that was brought up by my colleague from the 5th Ward, which would be to ensure that we are not inversely affecting people of low income, homeowners who are unable to address building code violations.
Okay. Yeah, okay,
I'm just talking while the silence.
okay. What we have to do now is we have to vote to first reconsider the amendment.
Yes.
So,
So,
go ahead.
So, just again, I think the one concern that was brought up last time that wasn't brought up again today, which I was going to speak to if it was brought up initially by my colleague from the 5th regarding punishing people of low income who have code violations who are unable to address them. We inadequately fund our Healthy Home Repair Program while it exists, and it does help folks when it can. We don't have enough money there to adequately rely upon that to help people of low income. I'm committed.
We have to vote first.
Can,
But please, we have someone
in the
that's,
interest of time, Mr. Chairman, can we vote? I have another committee.
once she's done with her discussion, yes, sir.
I just wanna finish this one thought, if I may. I am committed, on record, to making sure that we have a policy in place that does not inversely impact families of low income. That is a big part of my community. In no way, shape, or form do I wanna go and punish people who are ill-equipped to keep their homes compliant with our building codes. This is to address absentee landlords and out-of-town investors primarily who are not being good stewards of our historic building stock, which is a asset that belongs to all of us in the city in general.
All right, thank you. With that, we have entertained a motion and a second to reconsider this, I believe, already on record. So at this point, we will take a vote to reconsider amendment number 9. Sharita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
yes.
Alderman Vaccaro,
Yes.
Alderwoman Howard,
Yes.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
No.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
No.
Alderman Odenberg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Let her say what she wants.
Chairman Vollmer,
Aye.
It's not,
8 aye votes, and 8 aye votes and 2 no votes.
Okay, with that, we've supported the motion to reconsider. If no further discussion?
It is,
No further discussion.
it's more
Alderman
discussion.
Davis.
So, one of the things that I would like to see is, I don't believe you need 6 more inspectors. I would consider 4 inspectors, and the balance from the other 2 inspectors go to the home repair programs that help people.
If I may, this was built off of a budget of 500,000 for the program. In discussing last week with the commissioner, we did cut that from 500,000 total. You'll see the line above, the gray line, 488,000. And we did cut the number of inspectors to 4 from this. So it's closer to 300,000. It's a little bit confusing.
That was the
admit.
original one.
So this
he
is
gave
just the
me.
salary, and then these are the other components. The total program, cost was 486,000. We asked him to cut that down to 4. And I would, agree with you that if there's additional money in the budget, we put that towards the Healthy Home Repair Program. But we've actually already done that by cutting it from 4
And please know the Healthy Home Program is too slow. It's tied to block grant funds and their criteria, and we don't help people. It's not the people that need the help. You need to put it into the home repair programs that go out and they have additional services that they can attach to that money, and it really helps a household. So I can't think of all those programs right now, but it's about 4 of them. And, okay, that makes more sense then. I can't deal with all these inspectors.
Okay. Thanks for
Okay.
that. Go ahead. All right, Alderman Vaccaro, any further comments?
No,
All right, thank you.
My motion passed, so
All right.
to reconsider, it's up to.
All right, we'll just got to go around. Alderman Howard, any further comments? Alderwoman Hubbard, any comments? No? Alderwoman Murphy? Spencer? No? Mohammed? Comments?
No comments, no questions, Mr. Chairman.
Alderman Oldenburg?
No.
Alderwoman Boyd? Not present. Alderman Clark Hubbard? Oh, Alderman Boyd, Jeremy. Alderman Clark Hubbard's not present. I'm sorry.
There she is.
Oh, she's, I
We just keep moving on.
just didn't see her in her
Moving
chair.
target.
Yeah, that's right.
I got 2 meetings at once.
Yeah.
I have no questions. Hearing no further questions or comments, I hear a motion to vote and pass out amendment number 9.
Second.
Motion.
I'll take,
We did
Motion
that,
second,
right.
okay.
I'll make a motion.
Rita, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Davis,
Pass.
Alderman Vaccaro,
aye.
Alderwoman Howard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Hubbard,
No.
Alderwoman Murphy,
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer,
Aye.
Alderman Muhammad,
No.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
No.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
No.
Chairman Valmer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Davis,
No.
6 aye votes and 5 no votes.
Okay, with that, we've passed out amendment 9. We are now done with our amendments. So, we have these before us. We will, well, we need to make a motion to pass out board bill number 1 as amended.
That'll be on process.
Mr. Chairman, I make the motion to pass out board bill.
Oh, excuse me, please. Order, please. Director Payne.
Well, yeah,
Joe?
what you're technically doing is suspending your readings to submit your recommended
Okay,
additions back to
apologies for the
E&A.
nomenclature.
Yeah,
Thank you,
and
sir.
then it will come back, and that's when you vote it out.
All right, what he said.
What he said.
It's been a long day. All right.
I think we are we
So we
meeting
don't have to
tomorrow?
meet tomorrow, right?
No, we're not. We will cancel the meeting tomorrow for Ways and Means. Hearing no further questions, comments, we will adjourn and pass this out to E&A. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
So moved.
We don't get-